talk about fast food and maybe we'll get into comic books. Welcome back to the Comics Aficionados right here on Thinking Critical YouTube. A huge playoff weekend in the NFL. Got a great panel, an enormous week in comic books. This is probably the most important week of Marvel Comics for the entire year. Ultimate Spider-Man is the big relaunch that has the chance to get people back in comic book shops, I truly believe. And obviously, we're going to cover all that. We got a fantastic panel. We do have the Sultan of Soup himself. Sully, you are a chef, sir.
Yes, sir.
This is what I've been doing at my house for quite some time. Saturday is like slow cooker Saturday. Ooh, and Friday, before I go to bed, I put it all together. I throw it in the fridge, and then my wife throws it on the slow cooker to do it. Mm-hmm. And this week I did like, I don't know, 3/4 of a pound of ham, an entire head of lettuce, and I chopped it all up to bite-sized pizzas, 2 cups of chicken broth, and then butter over the top. And it turned out absolutely amazing. My kid actually liked the taste of cabbage.
That's great because you slow cook the cabbage, you braise it, and it breaks down all like the fibers in it, and it absorbs the salts and the savorinesses. And you know what? If you can get a kid eating any vegetable, that is a victory. And so, congratulations, happy cooking. It's like that movie Ratatouille. Anyone can cook. Seriously, you just gotta know.
What are you trying to say, man? I'm fabulous. Not everybody can do what I do.
That's awesome. I love cooking.
My goodness. So how you been, Sully? You had a big week. You spent more money this week in your comic shop than you have in a long time.
I almost spent $50 this week because I got a sack of funny books. I got 9 floppies this week. It would have been 10 if Green Lantern #7 was not sold out. It was already sold out on Wednesday. And I got there about, say, 2 p.m., maybe 3 p.m. They open at 11. And, you know, DC Comics, they're on the shelves on Tuesday. So it's a little bit of an unfair advantage. But, you know, hey, I'll find it.
You're missing out because Green Lantern #1 was the best, or #7 was the best comic this week.
I got my pirate treasure chest. Arg. Had some lantern light to it.
Dylan, did you read Green Lantern this week?
No, I haven't had a chance to read it yet.
It's so good. They changed artists, but the story is absolutely perfect.
The artist changed. I'm pleased with it. I like this guy better.
He was the dude that was on Hawkgirl.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
I like the guy on Green Lantern with the name I can't pronounce. I like.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Can you imagine going from the worst book to like the best book of the week in like the span of like 1 month? Like, wow.
That'd be nice.
Big turn of fate. So, Sully, you're from Boston, right?
Wicked Boston.
How are you guys handling Bill Belichick?
You know, it had to happen. Hey, look, Star Wars fans, eventually Kathleen Kennedy is going to retire. Because you know what? Eventually, Bill Belichick had to retire.
He didn't retire. He was fired. He's going to coach again.
Well, you know what I mean.
He got retired.
He had to go.
Which is what should happen to Kathleen Kennedy.
Pete Carroll also got retired this week. It was crazy. Yeah.
He got a visit from Rick Deckard. Yeah, he got retired. He put 24 years. That's a great run. And with 6 championships, the Tom Brady years. And I mean, there's a lot of controversy. Tuck rule, Spygate. Remember that bullshit?
All the cheating.
Come on, Deflategate. I mean,
yes, all the cheating was very a big deal.
You know, it's a war game, and you need intelligence, and you need to adapt and overcome.
It's a child's activity being done by fat old men.
Fat old men. Those dudes are superstar athletes.
Some of them are.
Well, let's not forget the suspect officiating in some of those Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
especially the Seattle one, right?
We're talking the Chiefs now.
No, we're not talking the Chiefs. The Chiefs was completely legit. The Patriots had some pretty sus officiating in there.
You had a pretty boy at quarterback like that. You know, it's just who knows. When we played the Giants, I said the team that's wearing red, white, and blue are going to win this year.
Yes, because
we were patriotic and everything back then.
Who else we got? We got Dylan from the Real Comic Book Gamer. Now, normally you're not all that chilly, but you got the sweatshirt on. It must be very cold.
It's very cold right now. I just checked and it says it's 11 outside, so it's really cold out here.
It's 11?
Yeah. It's
you live in Southern California.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cold out here in Seattle right now. We're getting hit with it.
Very nice. Are you going to go out and play Planet Hop? That's what I would get. I would get my snow gear on there, and I would get the things and be looking.
That's the goal, dude. Just gotta find like someone on a bike to just run around and trip. That's my AT-AT.
Absolutely. And you gotta slice open a horse or something and sleep inside there. Just
Yeah, we'll
recreate the
see
whole
if they smell better on the inside or the outside.
Oh man. So did you have a good comic book reading week? You didn't get to Green Lantern yet.
No, I didn't get to Green Lantern yet. I was very surprised with Action Comics, though. Jason Aaron has surprised me with what he's done with DC so far, because I was very doom and gloom about him. But so far, Batman Offworld's been fun, and the first issue of Action Comics is good. So, yeah, I'm presently surprised by this week. Pleasantly surprised by this week.
Does it make me a bad person, Dylan, if I'm still holding it against Jason Aaron that they removed Philip Kennedy Johnson for Bizarro story they could have told as a miniseries?
No, not at all. That's exactly what I was thinking too. I was like, we have like 500 Bat books at a time. What's one more Superman book? We could have kept Phil Kennedy Johnson doing his own thing. One of the best runs on the character in a long
Could have been
time.
a backup, yeah.
Could have been a backup since they're obsessed with backup stories for some reason. Like, there's so many different things they could have gone with instead of kicking off one of the best Superman writers we've had in years.
But I was also impressed with what Jason Aaron did with that Bizarro story. It's fun. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the John Tim's art is also quite good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I had some PTSD with that because every time I see that, I think of the John Kent run. It's just like,
yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
Sounds like there's a lot of artists graduating from terrible books to getting to draw a good story. Like it's almost like they paid their penance.
Yeah.
You did your time.
Yeah.
Also, on the channel, Aaron Sparrow, are you the one that's trying to make tofu taste good?
Oh dear God, no! I made a tri-tip last night that was. Mwah.
You flipped the brisket again?
Yeah. So that and some nice, just made some zucchini noodles and it was delicious, man. It's a nice.
So you got
nice
the Soundwave shirt on.
Yeah.
Are you repping because of Transformers 4 this week, which was another awesome comic book?
Another awesome issue of Transformers. So I'm.
Was that the best
psyched.
one so far? I still think issue 1 was better, but issue 4 is pretty damn close.
I mean, issue 1 is really good, but like 4 is like the culmination of it. It's like they're building, so it's like it's everything's getting stacked on top of each other, which is how you're supposed to write a story. Is it's supposed to build and build and build, and so I think that we're getting some really good stuff. I cannot complain. I do think that it's a little weird that we've the artist for the next arc has been announced, and he was described as megastar artist, and I was like,
I like.
Did he draw a book called Megastar? Because otherwise, I don't think that we can really make that claim. He's fine. He's no Philip Kennedy Johnson.
Good, but he's an odd choice to replace Daniel Warren Johnson.
Or I said Philip Kennedy Johnson. Yeah, Daniel Warren Johnson.
It's all the 3 name guys. They all sound alike. But Corey Cronin's all right. But he's not like when you're reading Transformers, you can almost feel the violence coming through the pages when stuff's happening. You don't get that feeling from Jorge Corona. It's a little bit softer.
Yeah, no, I just think that it's like, we're kind of loosely throwing around the terms megastar and fan favorite and all of these other terms.
Yeah, he did a good job on Middle West, and then he was doing Batgirls with Clunrad. So but unfortunately, that for him, no one saw it, right?
Well, it's like he didn't have to do his best work on that one because no one was going to see it.
No, I am glad Clunrad are gone from DC Comics. It appears they were a blight. Now we got to get rid of Jackson Lanzig and Colin Kelly.
Jeez.
What is with everybody coming in like all of these all of these lover teams? It's like, oh, I'm going to work on this, so my boyfriend or my husband needs to work on it too.
Yeah, we also have Tinny Howard doing a book with her husband, didn't we?
Yeah, and it's like who do these
stuff? Yeah,
bringing in somebody who has no comic credits whatsoever.
James Tynion was also doing a Punchline book with his girlfriend at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't know. Maybe Sully and I need to do a book together.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Wicked.
I have ideas.
Who else we got here? Jim. Did
Hello.
you almost die this week? Because that is
No,
the highlight
I'm
of my
gonna
life
save
now.
it. I'm gonna save it for Monday when I watch the Eagles. I'll wait
That's
for
when you're
that.
almost
Yeah,
gonna die?
that's when I'll jump off a bridge.
What if you guys win?
I think they might win, but I'll still be disappointed.
the
They're
Buccaneers,
so
right?
bad. The Buccaneers. They're so bad. They're just frustrating. But
What are the chances Mike Evans goes for like 280 and 3 touchdowns?
there's a big chance. That is a good chance because they're struggling. But there you go. That's my whole weekend. I'll watch all the good football and then I'll watch my Eagles on Monday.
But the good news is you had a great comic book week. This was the week to talk about comics.
Yeah, it was. It's really good. One of our best weeks that we've had in quite some time. And like usually we'll have like, okay, Marvel's pretty good this week, but DC sucks or vice versa or Indie. And there's a lot of good books from all of them. It's actually very impressive.
Yeah, I was very, very happy with the offerings this week and good stuff. Now, finally, we do have Doc. And you've read up on Ultimate Spider-Man, hopefully Rise of the Powers of whatever.
I read Ultimate Spider-Man. I'm going to read the Rise of the Powers of the Crisis of my House of Balls.
The powers
the Rise of the Powers of my balls. Yeah.
Yes.
Rise
We're
of the
gonna
dawn
review
of the
that one
power
Monday.
of the day of the night of the living dead.
Balls.
Yeah, I'll read that shit tomorrow. Like first thing in the morning so that you can ruin my day.
That should be pretty good. I am very interested the way that you respond to this comic book because there's some really bad stuff in it, but there's some really good stuff. It was like a tale of two comic
I was
books.
going to say tale of two halves. Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. Obviously, we'll be reviewing that with Doc on Monday. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, I was going to. Oh, that book? Okay. I thought you were talking about Ultimate Spider-Man because I did read that for today.
I thought Ultimate Spider-Man was pretty even all the way through.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what I'd expect off of a Bendis protege.
We'll get to Ultimate Spider-Man soon, but we do have some super chats to get through. Lots of people supporting the channel. Really appreciate that. Steve Honko, going to miss a stream, but I say OG Ultimate X-Men fan. Can you guys tell me what a Peach Momoko is? Marvel is telling me she is this amazing thing, but the preview art I've seen does not impress. So Peach Momoko is a very well-known, basically variant cover artist. She does lots of variant covers in like a watercolor style with kind of definitely manga influences to them. And they are pretty desirable throughout the comic book industry, but she hadn't really done a lot of interior work until she did kind of an adaptation of Marvel comic stuff, kind of focusing on X-Men called Demon Days, which stretched into Demon Wars. And it turns out I thought she was a pretty good storyteller, but I could definitely tell, Doc, if you're an X-Men fan, why this art wouldn't just like speak to you, because it is very different.
It is not. Look, if you're coming into it expecting an X book, you're going to be sorely disappointed. If you come in expecting a Peach Momoko, use kind of vaguely analogous to Marvel superheroes to tell a culturally Japanese story, it's not bad. But it's not an X book. It's never going to be an X book. It wasn't an X book when she did it on Demon Days, and this one's not going to be an X book either. So if you're coming in expecting X-Men, you're going to be sorely disappointed.
Yeah, it appears the X-Men are going to be like an Asian team in the Ultimate Universe. Like they're going to be in that area. That's not going to be something based in the U.S.
About time.
A Peach Momoko is a delicious dessert that Sully will make you. When
Yes. A crumb dessert there.
She's a super nice lady.
Green
Doc
tea
and I
ice
reviewed
cream.
her one of her comics a couple years back, and she did send a DM thanking me for that. And she also had that thing happen where she refused to let people pay for her autograph and was doing them for free at a Comic-Con, and people like lost their minds, and it turned into fucking Lord of the Flies as people were trying to get 18 million autographs from her.
And you said it, Wes. Her stuff is pretty good. It's just so different that I think it's going to throw people off to get into. You have to kind of have that, entry deal and try to tough it out. Yeah. I
mean, she's a great artist and a very, very competent storyteller. She's just really not the person that I would expect. Or if I had any say in the matter, she's the last person I would pick for an X-Men book.
Unless you were doing something that was like Demon Days, which I think her art was very fitting for. It was her story. I think she's very good. I like her stuff. It's not for everything though. Like it's
Right.
and that's the problem with Marvel is one of the many problems with the industry right now is that they try to plug people in, and it's not necessarily playing their strengths.
Yeah.
So I can see how, as an X fan, you would be, kind of like, "What is this?"
Or I wonder if it's trying to bridge some kind of manga market. Try to let's get some manga kids reading some X-Men funny books. Look at this. Don't you want this kid? It's Ultimate X-Men.
But it's not like really a manga style. It's more
Right.
almost inspired by
Japanese watercolor.
traditional, traditional Japanese watercolor art. That you use on you'd see on like fucking scrolls.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in a funny book.
Not the aliens.
Yes.
Yeah. So we shall see what happens. I'm definitely going to read that one because I do like Peach Momoko, and I did enjoy Demon Days and Demon Wars. But I am a little hesitant because it does not feel, I don't know, it doesn't feel X-Men, but we'll see what happens. Lade says, do you think Marvel is building up the Ultimate Comics a little too fast with Ultimates coming? I thought do 3 books a year and then expand.
It's a publishing gimmick. That's all it is. And they're there to sell magazines. So let's sell magazines.
I'm glad they're giving it time.
Mhm.
They're not just launching it out with 6 books in like a 1 month. They're coming out with 3 titles. Obviously, Ultimate Spider-Man being the flagship, following it up with Black Panther and X-Men, then bringing in the Ultimates line. We'll see if they go bigger than that, but I think 4 books in the first year isn't a terrible idea, and especially if there's quality there. And I do think Dennis Camp, as far as the new Marvel writers that they brought in, has more talent than most.
Yeah.
What do you think, Aaron? Oh, sorry.
Who did you throw it to? I don't.
What do you think, Aaron? You were a publisher kind of guy. You're an editor. Is that too many books in one shared universe?
It depends on what the goal is. If the goal is to capture people, kind of lapsed readers that aren't maybe buying the regular, line, then I think that 4 books is fine. You're getting a book a week roughly at that point. I think that's a pretty solid publishing plan. If you're asking people who are already buying a bunch of Marvel titles, and why would you be? But those people do exist. If you're asking them to jump in on 4 books a month, then I can see why it would be a little bit of a concern. And it's a little bit of a concern because Marvel will kill it if it has any measure of success. They will dump so many books onto you that it'll eventually kill the line. So I think it is a concern just because if it's successful, they'll go for greed. And then they'll oversaturate the line. You'll have a bunch of lesser talent brought in, and that'll be the end of it.
That's kind of what happened to the original X line or Ultimate line.
Yep.
Absolutely. Caleb says, I can't cook. Also, I've never had that much of an imagination in the kitchen.
Good. I mean, you keep people like me employed. So please continue. Humans get hungry 3 to 4 times a day. So, I mean, I'm gainfully employed.
I started cooking or working in a restaurant when I was 14.
For smokes.
I was paid in smokes by my mom, yes. Although I got a tiny bit of cash to go along with it. So,
to buy more smokes.
apparently, maybe. Dylan, are you a cook? Are you much of a cooker guy?
I cook a good bit. I wouldn't say I'm very creative with it, but yeah, I cook a good bit.
What are you like a California pizza kitchen kind of guy? Do you do anything traditional? What are we doing? Asian?
No, not Asian. Nothing fancy. We do just very basic stuff like
a fried bologna sandwich?
Ooh.
Not quite like that. We'll do some ground buffalo, rice, broccoli, stuff like that.
That's not fancy? Ground buffalo?
No.
Look at
it's
him.
not fancy at all.
Jeez, this guy is so Seattle. He doesn't even know it.
Yeah.
Here's the question, Aaron. When you do fried bologna, do you cut the spokes in so that the bologna doesn't bowl up?
Listen, when I was a kid, we weren't poor necessarily. We grew up thinking we were poor, but it just turned out that my mom was spending all the money she made on herself, and none of it was trickling down to us. So, we would make what we called bologna cups, where you would just throw a piece of bologna in the frying pan. It would heat up, and it would form like a cup.
And then you throw the cheese in.
Yeah, you would put some cheese in there, or if you didn't have cheese, like one time we got desperate, we sprinkled it with a little cinnamon. That turned out to be okay. I mean, it wasn't the worst thing in the world, especially when you're hungry and there's nothing in the house. So I have a hate relationship now with bologna as an adult, so I don't go near it.
Man. Fried bologna. That's something to grow up on. Carrie from Nerdy Girl Crates, Morning Aficionados. I hate to say it, but Ultimate Spider-Man has me intrigued. Why are you hating to say it? This is the comic book I was most looking forward to in 2024.
By the way, guys, Carrie has if you don't know, Carrie has a GoFundMe up right now for her mom's medical bills. So if you guys could go and check that out, maybe throw a couple of bucks her way, that would be fantastic.
Absolutely. And there, if you go to my community tab on my YouTube channel, there's a link to it there as well. But you can also find Carrie on social media, and she has it up there. I believe it's pinned. So is everyone intrigued by Ultimate Spider-Man? I know I am.
I am. Mm-hmm. I'm in. I didn't think I was going to, but I read a copy and digitally, and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back. I'm going to go buy this. I grab a copy. I want the Carrie Andrews variant copy, and Carrie was nice enough to send me a link. Hey, it's $15 on eBay, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna do it, aren't I? I'm gonna get it because I really want that Carrie Andrews cover. It's beautiful, but I really enjoyed the hell out of this, and I'm looking forward to what's next.
Absolutely. We'll obviously get into a bigger conversation, but I'm there with you, Carrie. I was quite intrigued. Adam Frey, go Philadelphia Eagles. That's my comment.
Yes.
I'm rooting for the Buccaneers.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Ooh.
I know I couldn't name you a single person on either team. I just have a Buccaneers duffel bag that somebody gave me because they were like, hey, we got a free bag. You like pirates, right?
I'm just waiting for the Steelers to lose. I don't even know who they play.
Play the Bills.
They play the Bills.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough.
Ooh.
We'll see what happens. Caleb says, Friday Night Talks talked about Echo, which isn't worth talking about on this show. It's a show written by special needs people.
That is approximately.
I haven't watched it.
If it's already been
I wanted to
elsewhere.
do a review with Aaron, but he killed off his Disney Plus subscription because he didn't want to watch it.
Good for you.
I don't want to give Disney any more money.
Thank you.
Dylan, did you watch Echo? You seem like a guy that might have liked that show.
No, I despised her in Hawkeye, so I watched the Daredevil fight, and that was all I watched because I was like, "We'll see how the Daredevil fight is." But yeah, I hated.
Did you
her
also
character
like
in
Hawkeye? Because I liked Hawkeye.
I thought Hawkeye was one of the better Marvel shows. Yeah. I thought it was fun.
Echo was terrible in it, though.
Yeah.
Yes, I want Hawkeye to kill her. So when she got her own show, I was like, I don't care about this at all.
Yeah, it's all the people watching Hawkeye were like, the show's actually better than I expected, except for this Echo chick.
Yeah.
Disney's response was, oh, so we'll just give you a whole show of her. No. We want you to kill her.
No, she can't emote. She just has resting bitch face the entire time she's on screen every moment. Like when they do the flashback, they do a flashback that I saw on one of the shows where they were reviewing it. And it's like when she's a little kid and the Kingpin reaches down and he touches her cheek and she smiles. And I was like, and then Echo never had an emotion after that point in her life.
It's also it's pretty funny during the Daredevil fight, at least when they switch out the actress for the stunt double, they chose someone that's much more slender, and so it's just so obvious. And they sort of just like, oh, it's not the actress in there anymore. Like they didn't get someone with the same build. It's like, how do you whiff that? She
dropped 30.
Yeah, it's like you just see it instantly when it happens. Like, oh, the stunt double's in.
It's like part of her revised superpower is that she can shift mass to a different part of her body, so she could put it into her fists. So those haymakers that they keep having her throw actually look impressive.
Yeah.
Dylan, did you ever see "I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker"? Have you ever seen that movie?
That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, where the stunt double comes in and it's like this Italian guy. He's got a big Mario mustache
for a black lady.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Great
Jack Halsey. Wow, thank you very much. $50 is very generous of you. $9.99 for the channel and $40 for the Dr. Pepper Fund. Now, that is a guy that knows what I need. Ultimate Spider-Man was far from perfect, but I thought the tweaks are well thought out and feels like they are leading towards something. It's nice to actually be excited about a book. I do agree about that.
I read this book, and I'm probably the most jaded person on this channel at this point.
In the world, maybe.
Quite possibly
Universe.
on the planet. Yes. Definitely on Comics YouTube. And, look, there was a lot of things that I was just sitting there going, oh, you're doing this for the 43rd time. While there wasn't really much in the line of new ideas here, These are all very cliched ideas. He did put them together in a way that were surprisingly entertaining. Like, it kind of almost made me forget about the fact that he's just doing the typical cliched hide the fucking hero shtick for like the 43rd time, and that it's world building the comic, which is, you know, all that Hickman does, because he will never actually get to writing a story. He'll just keep building the world so that somebody else maybe eventually sort of kind of can consider writing the story. However, it was entertaining enough that I actually enjoyed it. Like, I didn't mind it. Didn't feel.
I said I liked the comic book,
overdone.
Doc, and I gave it a recommend, and people were mad at me that I didn't like it enough.
I was mad.
Look,
Well,
look,
yeah.
here's the thing. There's nothing.
It's fine.
New. There's no new. He's not treading any new ground here. So how can you be that excited about it? Honestly, just being good and not eye-rollingly bad is
Something you can
is
talk
the
about.
achievement at this point.
Especially with Spider-Man.
Yeah. So
Listen,
Dylan,
it was fine. It could be good, but you know, everybody that's like raving about it, you've just been reading too many terrible comics for too long that you think that this first issue was like just knocking it out of the park. This is great. This is the best book I've ever read. You know, you need to temper your expectations. Go read some old comics and then come back and read it, and you'll be like, yeah, it's a good start, but you know, you won't be nearly as hyped for it.
So Dylan, I know you're also a huge Marco Checchetto fan.
Yes.
And I was super excited. Marco Checchetto on a Spider-Man book. I wasn't excited about him illustrating Peter Parker. That was like one of the things that upset me.
Yeah, you had a this Spider-Man book. All
He's a
things
great
being
artist.
said,
Like, put
yeah,
Kelly Thompson on the book if it's just going to be heads. Why waste
yeah.
it?
He got a lot of different angles on those heads, though.
Yes, he
he got
did.
every different viewpoint. But yeah, I love Marco Checchetto. He's done some great stuff over the years, and then in this, he doesn't get to draw any bit of action at all. It's all just a bunch of talking.
Except
and
the
that's it.
glider. That was cool.
Yeah, he got that. He got that one panel, and that was it. But overall, I enjoyed this issue. It's not the best thing ever, but I thought it was good for a Spider-Man book that didn't have Spider-Man. I really loved the stuff with Ben and J. Jonah Jameson. I thought they had a good back and forth. But yeah, this is just
I thought they
step
didn't
one.
like each other at first. And then I realized, oh, they're just bros and they're busting each other's nuggets.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was great. That reveal when he's just yelling Parker. He's like, "Oh, hi, Peter," and just walks past him. That was great.
The the thing here that while there was no Spider-Man in this, I mean, do you really expect anything better in an Ultimate Spider-Man comic from a Bendis protege? He did it too. That's
Well, they
what
said he
they're-
did it worse. It took him 7 issues. And that was
Yeah.
the defense for it. But
No,
hey, I
Spider-Man
read
was
a-
in costume in issue 2 of Ultimate Spider-Man.
I read a lot of comic book stock, and I could see some faults here and there, but there's a lot of promising things in this issue, particularly. I just think it could have been more exciting.
It's interesting that Hickman chose to do like an entire like slice of life, kind of like the daily grind of everybody's life instead of getting to the Spider-Man action. Because if I said that Hickman had one big weakness as a writer, it's that he doesn't human very well. Human emotion doesn't always come through in his scripts, so it was weird to see him focus on that. But I thought he did a good job at it. It wasn't what I wanted for a first issue, but it was a solid introduction. We'll see where it goes.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Adam Frey says, question, why are some franchises okay for reboots, others aren't? Image has the 7th take on G1 continuity, and it's great. TMNT also can reboot. Marvel 616, on the other hand, should never reboot.
That's correct.
We should go back to a previous moment in time, though. We should go back to the end of Secret Wars, where we got all new, all different Marvel, and we should go back and restart the universe from there, and say that everything that's happened since then has been in a pocket universe.
I'd go further, but
I'm trying to go the least amount. How far back would you go, Doc? I'm curious.
Civil War.
Ooh, that's nice. I like that.
We talked about this, didn't we, Doc, on the Q&A podcast?
Yes, we did, and I will never. Yeah, I will never change my approach on this.
Mm-hmm.
Civil War is that was the the point of no return for Marvel Comics.
Mhm.
All right, Doc. So why can't you reboot the 616, even though that's what you want them to do, but you can reboot TMNT and the DC Comics universe?
Because, well, first of all, TMNT and Transformers and all the rest of them, they are not interconnected universes. I mean, they occasionally cross over with something else. Yes, technically, the Hasbro things maybe sort of kind of exist in the whole, you know, in the same universe, but they're not dependent upon each other. There's not a, you know, massive intricate tapestry that has been weaved over 60 plus years. You have the occasional slapdash connection over 40 years of things that are much less important. So one is a big giant thing. It's like saying we're going to entirely redesign McDonald's versus we're going to entirely redesign, I don't know, your local bar.
Yeah, but your local bar is not interconnected with the other bars, is it?
Exactly. That's the point. Your local bar isn't as big of an undertaking and you're not
Buffalo
setting,
Wild Wings.
No, but what it is you're taking an entire known commodity, a massively successful global corporation, and you're just saying, you know what? We're going to fucking start it over. And all the
They
shit
did that with
happened before-
KFC and it was successful.
Well, Doc said McDonald's, and you think they did redo McDonald's. They took
Yes.
McDonald's from looking from like a child's, magical wonderland to
But they
like
didn't-
a middle-aged depressed adult. Like that's the way the buildings
Same
look.
with pizza.
But they
Divorced
didn't do
dads.
it. But they didn't do it by changing the fucking menu. All they
You
did
don't
was
true, you
change
can
the
get the
menu
same-
at Marvel either. You have the same heroes.
yeah. We already have Marvel's already done what McDonald's did in the past with changing it from a child's play place to a place for depressed adults.
Now listen, they did change the menu at Marvel, Wes, because you can go in and you can still get a hamburger, but when you go to Marvel, you can still go get a hamburger, but now your hamburger is gay.
Yes,
With avocado slices on it.
Ah,
exactly.
California influence
man.
ruins everything.
Ruin everything. I don't know, Doc. I think you're being a hypocrite. You're saying you can't reboot the universe, but you're demanding they reboot it.
Ooh.
No, I'm saying you're going to reset to a last known good. That is not a reboot. That is selective removal of the
Doc
wrong
is
direction.
saying the game is ruined. Go back to your previous save.
Well, okay, yes, you're going back to a good save point before you fucked it up. Like, here's the thing with Hasbro or TMNT or whatever. There's not enough lore there. You go back to the last known good, you're going like, I don't know, 20 issues back. Like you're throwing out
All right.
15 years of Marvel would basically be the same as throwing out slightly more than the Jenica era of TMNT.
Oof.
That's all you'd be really getting rid of.
There you go.
That's
Adam.
true. The Jenica
Your
era.
answer. Callum says there was an interview with Josh Williamson saying and admitting the higher ups are telling writers to make fans angry, which makes no sense. That is the worst interpretation I've ever seen of that Joshua Williamson interview. That is a complete bastardization of what he
Yeah.
actually said.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't say anything close
Didn't
to
he
that.
say he wants to kill people too? I thought I got that from
He
him.
did say he killed puppies.
Yes,
I
yes,
can't confirm
killed
that
puppies.
part. But
Punch
he didn't
puppies.
say that.
No,
You and I
that's not
talked
what he
about
said.
this, Aaron. We did a whole
Yeah,
video
we
on it.
absolutely did. And I saw these articles coming up where it was like, Josh Williamson says this. And I was like, I read the interview. That he hasn't come anywhere close to saying that.
He
Like, this
says
is the most-
fans are more apt to spend money when they're unhappy, which it makes it almost sound like they do things to make you mad so you'll spend money. But what he's saying is when the character's happy in a good state, people spend less money than when the character's in jeopardy. But he just had very poor wording on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then he just got like misquoted all over the place. So now it's turned into this thing. It's the internet. What do you expect? It's a game of telephone. But you do expect a little bit better from well, no, you don't. You don't expect any better from comic book journalism.
But that's not what Josh Williamson was saying at all. You should read the interview or watch the video where Aaron and I talk about the interview and quote him exactly because he didn't say that. Lade says, "Yeah, forgot the Doc suffering of the Doc review of Suffering was Ultimate Spider-Man #1, so replacement in March, Jackpot and Black Hat #1. I know that will be painful." I did forget. Why would Ultimate Spider-Man be a review of Suffering, Doc? I was looking forward to it.
No, it's no. I mean, it's a perfectly fine book. I'm not super. I wasn't blown away by it by any stretch, but I also wasn't like, fuck you, I'm going to fly to the Philippines just to punch you in the face for making me read this either.
You got to remember, the Doc Worst of the Week review comes out on Monday, which is just the day before DC's new comic books and 2 days before Marvel. So a book like Ultimate Spider-Man, which is the most important book they're going to release in 2024, I'm going to have to hit earlier in the week. But Jackpot and Black Cat #1, there was no way I was going to review that before. So that will certainly work for Worst of the Week, Doc. It sounds awful.
It probably is going to be awful. Everything about it seems awful. So yeah, of course you're going to make me fucking read it.
Absolutely. Cal also says Friday Night Tight said it's basically a P-word contest about her trauma is better than other people's trauma, and it's somehow a widescreen wiper cuts off her leg.
Are we still talking about Echo?
Yeah, because the chat's behind us. We moved too quick for the chat for the reading of the super chats. So we got to go back in time. We got to go back to a previous save, Doc.
No. We do the super chats in order, but some things came in the meantime. So I don't know. That's not a really good concept for a superhero show. My trauma is better than your trauma. I mean, Tom King. I think it's what P-word is. Tom King has tried this, and it just doesn't really work to focus on the trauma suffered by heroes.
Right.
It's not compelling.
That's all Tom King does.
The long term is the problem.
Yeah, you can do it for an issue or two.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
everyone's saying this is just another example of a Marvel heroine who is really a villain. You know, who she does horrible things, but it's everybody else's fault because of her trauma. And at no point does she have to apologize or get her comeuppance or pay for any of the things she's done. And Echo's just murdering people all over the place. And it's like, congratulations, it's so representative. If you wanted your people represented by an unrepentant murderer, then good job. That's what you got in Echo.
Brad Frederick says Jorge Corona is drawing the second arc of Transformers. Daniel Warren Johnson will stay on as writer. Cool. And as I understand it, Daniel Warren Johnson will only stay on as a writer through issue number 12, and then we'll likely get a new writer on this. But we talked about it a little bit earlier. I like Jorge Corona, but it is going to be an enormous change, Jim, from what Daniel Warren Johnson is doing.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Jorge Corona fan, but I'll give it a chance. And I love the book, and it's sad, though. It really is like you wish that you could just keep going how it is because it is so good. But like I said, I'll give him a chance. I just don't really like his style. I'll have to see how it is. I did see one little
I described him as what Riley Rossmo would be if he was good.
Yeah, that would be a deal. I actually think that like a Peach Momoko is the idea of Riley Rossmo if he was excellent. So you have Riley Rossmo is that base level that you want to rise above. So yeah, he is better than Riley Rossmo.
Very nice. Jay says, I'm not going to come all over the place about rebooting a dead universe over 20 years after its inception.
I am.
I'm sure you saw this as well, Dylan. Like, people are freaking out about this, and I understand being excited, but they are acting like this is like a perfect comic book.
Yeah, I saw just like random Twitter accounts with like 50-something thousand likes on just panels from this comic. It's like, dang, this thing's reaching. But I think it just shows how starved people are of just like a decent Peter Parker comic with what's been going on with Zeb Wells. And that's what's been so baffling about what Marvel's done with Peter's. Like, it's so simple about like what people want. They want him to be happy with MJ, them to have their kids. It's like, just do that. People want that. And they're like, no, we'll do anything but that. Someone finally does it. And everyone's like, oh my God, it's the best comic book I've ever read. It's like, there you go. It's easy.
Johnny Jam Boogie in the chat has made a point that I was thinking about when we were talking about, the hero. The book's more popular when the hero is miserable. But everybody was loving Amazing Spider-Man during the McFarlane years when he had his supermodel wife. He was teaching. Things were going pretty well for him. And then, of course, tragedy strikes and everything falls apart. But we do enjoy seeing our heroes have periods of happiness once in a while. It is okay.
Yeah, and you're also willing to put up with some hard times as long as you feel like they're going to overcome.
Yep.
And that's where like the Tom King Batman taught you, like he might not. He might just
No, he might
lose
not.
forever.
He might just get really depressed and kill himself. Like
Yeah.
unless his mommy wife can come and save him.
But I'm with you, Jay. I'm excited about this, but I'm not going to go out there and act like I just read Transformers #1, which was an amazing #1 issue that I thought it literally hit everything it needed to do. Whereas
Duke
this
as
one,
well.
Duke is also a fantastic
good.
#1. Kaiser Jose Peter doesn't hug his kids every time he says bye.
I haven't hugged my kids in decades.
Your kids don't deserve hugs, Jim.
They don't. Well, I don't either. But yeah,
This-
I mean, seriously.
This reminds me of the Bill Burr bit where he's like, hey mom, how come dad never hugged us? And how come you never hugged us? And she's like, well, I wanted to hug you kids, but your dad was afraid it would make you gay.
Yeah. If I tried to hug my kids now, there'd be a brawl. It would be a straight up brawl. So yeah.
Jim did have a story about his kid texting him that he loved him, and it turned into a very awkward scene because he didn't know how to respond.
I didn't.
It's
And
like,
I
so
didn't
that
even think it was
baseball
the
game,
one
huh?
kid. Yeah. Yeah. I ended up where my one son texted me, hey, I love you, Dad. I thought it was the one other son that actually does say that. So I started talking about things that me and him were it was bad. I tried to weasel my way out of it eventually. And it didn't happen. But I'll also tell you that sort of text never, it never transfers into us actually talking. Like we'll pass each other in the hall. Nothing. Like it's almost like, and it also becomes very prison-esque or like school-esque, where neither of us will give and we'll hit each other, like to prove who's down. Oh, it's bad. This house is bad. It's like a jail. It is.
I was gonna say that like Jim's life deserves its own show, but it sounds like we already got one, and it was Oz.
Oz. It might be a little less sex, but still Oz.
The third
I always
season of
imagine
Walking
Malcolm
Dead.
in the middle.
Yes. The worst.
Caleb says, my mistake. It was not your mistake, sir. I saw multiple articles that spun that quote, which was very benign. He did not word it well, but had spun it to saying that. And it just it was not a very accurate interpretation. I do believe that was by design. They weren't being very honest about it. HH, the guys at Sigma Comics, shout out to all the 94-95 MLB strike taught us you can never replace talent. Once Walmart Karen's infiltrated comics, it's been downhill. A shame.
Word.
Mm-hmm.
That is the big problem, isn't it, Dylan? That all the good talent kind of left in an 18-month span.
Yeah, it's pretty sad, especially when the saddest thing is when you go to pick up a new comic, you're like, ooh, cool cover, and then you look at the interior art, and it's like, ooh, the good artist left.
Yeah. It's always rough. That Ivan Reis on the first 2 issues of Beast World was amazing.
So great.
And you just can't help but feel let down by Lucas Meyer.
Man. And it's good, but this week you even sit there and think like, ooh, if Ivan was on this, it'd be it's a shame, but that's what happens.
Yeah. And thank you very much for supporting the channel. HH and the guys, congratulations. I know they'll be hitting the circuit as far as Comic-Con soon, and they'll be traveling the world and be selling everybody Here Comes Calico. Tyler Lalonde? I'm terrible with names.
Lalonde.
Lalonde. So there's no Miles Morales to take his place. Not yet.
Not yet.
Do you think they bring Miles in to replace him, or Gwen?
May.
Aunt May? She's already dead.
No. Little girl May. I thought she was actually going to get bitten by it right away, but maybe you do that if it lasts that long.
Yeah. I imagine at some point they'll replace him. That's what they did in the last Ultimate Universe, and everyone says that he's following the Brian Michael Bendis blueprint. We shall see. Josh McDonald, did someone say gay? Jim, are you trying to say you need hugs?
Yes.
Hello, Pedro.
That's what I'm saying, Josh.
Good morning, Josh.
He could read my mind.
And definitely shout out to Josh. He had a passing in the family this past week, and I believe they're doing a funeral today. He's going to the funeral. So hearts and thoughts are with Josh and his family, during a trying time. And always with you there, brother. And I hope you got a copy of Green Lantern #7 in your back pocket, and you can pull that bad boy out after the funeral and get a little bit of entertainment out of that. Unless your family is as insane as Jim's, and then you just watch what happens.
Just sit back.
How does a Jim funeral go?
Well, luckily we haven't had to go to that many because we really don't talk to any extended family.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we do know a gym wedding doesn't go well because you got
No.
spinning
Fights.
back fist.
Yep. Yeah, probably happened the same thing at a funeral. It wouldn't be any different.
Very
Probably
nice.
worse.
So we shall get into the very first subject. Now, we've been talking around this. This was Ultimate Spider-Man #1, Jonathan Hickman, Marco Checchetto, reestablishing the Ultimate Universe. This is the flagship book, and people were creaming themselves over this comic book. I thought it was really good, and I'd said so, in my review, and people got upset that I didn't say it was absolutely perfect. But there is one person I do believe on this panel that thinks it was perfect, and that was, I almost said Dylan, but that was actually Eric O'Sullivan, the Sultan of Soup.
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
You loved it.
I
You
loved
wanted to
it.
marry it.
I wanted to bend a knee and to say, like, you have my spider babies. What? No, I did not.
Weird.
I did not roll it up and put it in my back pocket like I usually do with comic books. I paid full price, which was, how much was this? It was $6.99.
Did you
Was
like
this
it as much as Jeff the Land Shark?
I like this a lot better than Jeff the Land Shark. Jeff was cute. This is not cute, but I read a pirated digital copy earlier in the week, and I went and bought it. And because that for me is like proof of like the proof of the pudding being on the plate. It's like it was good enough that I'm gonna spend my money on this, and I'm gonna buy it again next month. It wasn't what I expected at all. And I expected it to be a lot more like incoherent and wordy. It is pretty wordy as it is, but like I was so dissatisfied with Gods and with like Ultimate Invasion that I was like, okay, what are we getting ourselves into here? And it leaves me wanting to read what's coming next. And I've seen this before. Like Philip Kennedy Johnson's Hulk #1 had the same kind of thing. It's an issue 1. And like a 6-issue arc that's built to be a trade paperback. So not a lot goes on except for info dumps, status quo, and you get like 0 Spider-Man. And so like that Hulk #1, you get almost like 0 Hulk. But it makes up for it in subsequent issues. So I'm really convinced that this is going to be interesting. Also that like Peter is like, his life is run by tragedy. I don't know that MJ and the kids are safe. I think just by giving you MJ and the kids right at the beginning, that could be set up to pay off, where this is the tragedy that fuels Peter's life. That, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think they put the kids and the family in right away so that he can give a little world building and people still end up liking it by the end. And I think Dylan's 100% right. People are starved for a good book, especially a Spider-Man book that kind of hits what people want. But it's weird. I think that people, if you've read the Ultimate Invasion stuff, this makes more sense how it is developing. And Doc's right. The idea, and I'll say it, he's 100% right, that Hickman is a world builder, and that you could tell that's what was going to have to happen the way that this universe was set up. It's not like Thanos snapped his finger and all of a sudden you end up with, okay, everybody's there. You have to work it through the way it was set up. And I think some people who didn't read Ultimate Invasion coming into this, they were probably shocked. Oh my God, we don't have heroes. Peter's not Spider-Man yet. But in my mind, by the end, the thing that excited me is it almost felt like this Ultimate Universe could end up almost feeling like a Kick-Ass. The idea that Peter comes back here and then he starts inspiring other people. And they're going to kind of finagle the way that people get the powers. But I think it has that kind of feel to it, which I think is cool. Again, not anything particularly, new or that inventive, but I thought it was really cool. And I like the character work a lot in it. But it is building up the world of that. And I think it's going to be a bit more of a slow build than some people might want, especially kicking into this.
Well, Hickman had to show you why this world, what was different about this. So, seeing Peter with his family, I think is really well done. It's giving you something that, a lot of fans that had been with Amazing Spider-Man for the longest time wanted to see and that they took from us. Yeah. So I think that that's maybe why he decided to put the focus on that so much.
Yeah, I laugh when you end up in any sort of things like this. The minute you see Uncle Ben, you're like, May's dead. Like it's always like, why couldn't you just have both of them alive for one time? They're there, everybody's happy. But again, you go back to Joshua Williamson about the play, and some people were saying in the comments, well, that doesn't work because Peter, when he was really happy, but he's never really, everything isn't ever going all right for Peter, and that's what kind of makes the character as well. And this, I think people were a little taken aback because he does seem very mopey and depressed, but kind of plays into the whole deal of, I don't have that, not even knowing that there's something missing and then getting it at the end. So I'm pretty hyped for it.
People in the chat were disagreeing with Sully, and
How so?
I said, well, they were just like, like it wasn't that good. It's basically a what if, glorified what if.
Yeah.
And I had to point out, I said, Sully is our ray of positive sunshine. Doc is our dark thundering cloud.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Sully has to watch out because people in the chat, they have a very good memory. And when you end up saying, well, you know what? That Fire and Ice Welcome to Smallville is pretty good if for certain, and you'll never get past it.
You'll never live it down.
You'll never live it down.
I said one good thing about that rag, and they've been giving me a rash of shit for 5 months. I said the colors were very eye-popping, and just everything was just
Damn
like
you, Sully.
and it was like,
Yeah, if I colored it with a crayon too, it would be eye-popping.
If I had massive head trauma, I would be the target audience for that book, and yes, maybe it would work for me.
But no, I mean, look, Ultimate Spider-Man was good in its own unique way. It's not going to. I mean, I think a lot of us. I think a lot of readers may have gone into this kind of hoping, praying that this is going to be more of a return to traditional Peter, even though they shouldn't have been. Based on even the solicits for it, that he didn't have powers. He's getting his powers now as an adult. I think maybe some of us kind of still. Maybe we gaslit ourselves into thinking it was going to be something more unique than it was, or that it was going to give us something that we were missing more than it ever could have.
I saw some people going into it, actually going on and on about how Hickman was going to not bring back the family. He was going to do this. He was going to, and I think that a lot of people went in almost thinking for the worst, but hoping for the best. And when you ended up getting something that was pretty good, it kind of did get elevated. But we talk about in comics in general now, some of these writers that wouldn't have been anything 20 years ago, they're out because stuff sucks right now. And people want good books that they can read, and it feels like it's doing something and it's fun, or it's, and that's what I think you get here. And yeah, it's elevated because of the shit that it's, coming out with. But I'll go with it. I don't mind. I want good books. So this seems pretty good.
So there were a lot of things that were hinted at here, Dylan. Who do you think is the Green Goblin? Because my money's on J. Jonah Jameson.
Ooh, it could be J. Jonah Jameson. Obviously, they have Harry in there. They're having him being upset, but he feels like, just a bait and switch there.
It's got to be.
Oh, man. I could see that. It'd be very funny if it was Ben. That'd be so funny if he just brought Ben back just to have him be the Green Goblin.
But wasn't he too, pudgy to fit in there? I thought they made J. Jonah Jameson look like he was in good shape.
True. Yeah, I don't think it's Ben. I just think it would be funny if it was. But yeah, it could be J. Jonah Jameson. Who knows? It could be someone else that hasn't been introduced yet. But
it would explain why he went after Fisk.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
Maybe when Ben puts on when he becomes the Green Goblin, he drops 30 pounds. Like his stunt double comes in, on Echo, and he just slims down.
Wears a corset.
It could even be like, if I was going to make it Ben, I would intentionally have readers saying no, he's too pudgy to be the Green Goblin, and then have him before he becomes the Goblin, he has to inject himself with the Goblin formula, and then he slims out, his body reshapes just so that you could throw that red herring out there that not him, he's too pudgy.
That'd be very funny if he gets accused. He's like, no, I'm too fat. It can't be me.
I can't fit in the costume.
The fat card.
Look, that guy's jacked. I'm a sloppy.
And we find out that Ben's wearing a fat suit.
Yeah.
in his normal day, everyday life. He's like, and he's actually fucking yoked.
Like Big
I
Mama's
love the idea of
house?
getting up every day and having to put on a fat suit to maintain this illusion.
It's like
So
Uncle
the-
Ira.
So that you can now decide out of the blue to become a superhuman.
So I imagine it was on purpose, Aaron, that you could clearly see the logo on the Green Goblin armor was some type of joint venture between Oscorp and Stark Industries.
Mm-hmm. So it's
Well, was
interesting
that
to see where that's going to go. But yeah, that's intentional. They didn't
Maybe it's Howard Stark.
Kamala Khan.
maybe it is Howard Stark. Kamala Khan.
I hope Kamala Khan is the Captain Krakoa of this universe.
I hope so too.
It's actually it's Miles Morales.
That'd be cool.
Perhaps. I think the big question, though, Doc, is Green Goblin a bad guy in this universe?
I'm not 100% sold yet that he is.
Or she.
Or
Someone said it should be the Gwen Goblin. That'd be a plot twist.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
You got to do something with Gwen, right?
She's alive. She's got to be alive, and maybe
well, she's likely alive.
And
Captain
why didn't
Stacy,
Peter marry her?
Jean
You know?
DeWolf, everyone that Peter got killed incidentally as Spider-Man is probably still alive in this world.
That Peter got killed. Blame Peter for everything.
This is the
That's right.
tragedy that runs Peter's life. I mean, I honestly think that tragedy is a theme of Spider-Man. So there's going to be something tragic happening to Spider-Man
Kid
that
Joshua Williamson.
propels him. Well, I mean, I just see that over time, like especially the Bronze Age, like especially like Captain Stacy, Gwen Stacy, Jean DeWolf. I mean, he had so many people, Harry Osborn, everyone who gets close to Peter or Spider-Man for a while seemed to have gotten killed off, in that soapy, melodramatic kind of way.
Well, that's the cool thing about this is to think about they go through the process of what if Peter wasn't Spider-Man? How does that affect everything? And yeah, Uncle Ben being alive, and then what did happen with Gwen Stacy and what's going on. And I think that's the cool part of this. It makes it more of like an alt history type deal where you kind of go and progress from there to try to figure things out. And I think that it'll open up more of those questions as we go forward. I really think that that's a cool aspect of it with Peter becoming Spider-Man at 35 as well. And how will he end up doing that? How will that affect, this Spider-Man?
Exactly.
Kind of a cool
I know exactly how it is.
He's
You know
going
what
to break
they're
a
gonna
hip.
do? No, what they're going to do? What they're going to do is immediately after he becomes Spider-Man. Okay, see, here's the thing. He doesn't have the great. I mean, I know that they can definitely do the. Well, if I would have been Spider-Man, I would have been able to protect May as his impetus. But you know what they could do? They could totally swerve us and then still kill Mary Jane.
Yeah, they could. And like some of the things that are cool, like what happens with Flash Thompson, who doesn't have an inspiration to be good from a Spider-Man. It's not there. So maybe
good call.
you see some things with that. Or
Now he doesn't go to Vietnam?
Or, he's got problems. And we'd have to see, We'd have to
Will
see
they
how it goes. I think that those things are really cool.
Did he go to Vietnam in the original continuity, or like in the old books in the 60s? I don't even remember that.
Yeah,
It
I
was
think
inspired by Spider-Man, right?
Yeah, it was Nom, and then they've retconned it to Afghanistan.
And then he lost his legs in Afghanistan, right?
Yeah.
So Peter inspired him to lose his legs.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Perhaps.
Another thing that's
So-
Peter's fault. Oh, got Gwen killed,
Exactly.
got Jean DeWolf killed, got Captain Stacy killed.
Flash's legs.
But here we don't have Peter as Spider-Man. So what does that all lead
He got
to?
Kamala Khan killed, but fortunately that only lasted 20 minutes.
Yeah,
So you can't
exactly.
really
All
blame
that-
him for that.
Business with the Sin Eater, you know what I mean? Gee.
Wouldn't that be like the weirdest thing, though, Aaron? If they finally gave us the book we wanted, Peter and MJ together, married with kids, he becomes Spider-Man in 6 issues in, they kill off Mary Jane. That
Yeah,
would be like the ultimate kick in the nuts.
I think so.
It would just be, it would be
Yeah.
so like par for the course. It's like F you, it's F you, we're Marvel. Gotta make us angry, right? Because then we'll buy more.
drug overdose too. Just make it the worst. Like just to have her just completely die in the worst way. Then just go for it.
Now she's been hooking on the side, and she gets caught up.
She
And,
gets sliced up.
No,
Her pimp
Peter's
is
like,
pissed.
I want to show you what I can do, and he tries to swing me thing, and he just drops her on accident. Like,
Right, Ben drops her on Ben. And they're both boom.
He drops Ben on her, because
That was
he's so
great,
pudgy.
too.
He
That
kills
is
her
true.
instantly on impact.
He's trying to prove that Ben might be the goblin, and so he's swinging him around and drops his ass.
You guys are very, very bad people. Why would you want to?
Because we know who Marvel is.
Yeah, I don't want to make fun of big fat ass Ben, but it kind of sets it up there.
He wasn't like fat ass, but he was just kind of pudgy. He's a little out of shape.
No.
He's in his 60s or 70s. It's understandable,
80s.
right? Maybe his 80s.
Yeah.
Why is he still working? Why is he still working with J. Jonah Jameson? Should be retired by now.
He's probably
Keep
supporting
himself
Peter
busy.
and his family.
Yeah.
No, he's probably in his 60s. If Peter's,
35.
or maybe early 70s. If Peter's 35.
He loves his job.
So which one of the kids is going to be the first one to discover that he's actually Spider-Man and also become another Spider Kid?
No. No, the big question is
Richard.
which one of his kids decides that they're gay. That's because that's what Marvel does now. They're not gonna make one of his kids into a spider hero. They're just gonna turn one of them gay. That's what
We're not going to get Mayday?
No.
Remember when, the big reveal would be that one of your kids is a clone, or one of your kids don't exist, or your kids don't, or your kids are robots sent by the chameleon. Those would have been the reveals, and instead now it's just your kids are gay.
It was so little.
But that's what they do. That's
They're so little, but like that they're not too young to transition, Wes, to decide that they're an entirely another.
You guys are being weird.
Hey, hold on.
It's modern Marvel. What do you think? We're just going with what they've been doing.
The older one, Richard, he's probably like 14 or 15. He's not that little.
Oh yeah. He'll be the new Black Cat.
Yes.
Ooh.
He'll transition into a woman
Jubilee.
and become Black Cat because of reasons. And we find out that he's actually been the one robbing Ben, and that's the reason why Ben has to keep working at 65.
I don't know where all my money is going.
It was weird that they've established that Iron Lad, or at least the world believes Tony Stark Iron Lad, who I think is a teenager here, is the one that actually, blew up Norman Osborn, blew up Aunt May, and did this terrorist attack or whatever. Wasn't it weird? I'll hear from you on this one, Sully. Wasn't it weird that Tony is like, or Peter's like, oh yeah, let me take this thing from this guy that just murdered my aunt.
Right.
Me into the superhero. I'm going to trust him.
I'm also thinking if Tony's going back in time and seeding the past with potential superheroes, is somebody like perhaps Kang going back in time and seeding perhaps the supervillains such as Green Goblin?
Nah,
But that's
Iron
twisted
Lad
in with
will
Iron Lad.
he
with
will
Kang.
end up being Kang.
But isn't there like
is
the armor's identical except for the coloring?
I just
feel.
wonder why he didn't go back 15 years earlier. The damn guy could have went like 2 days after Peter didn't become Spider-Man. Just make him Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But hey.
Well, I don't think they have to do the supervillain thing because the world is populated by supervillains. It's very much lifted from Miller World.
True.
Yeah, I said.
At least the
That's what it
concept
feels
now.
like. Yeah, and if you look at it that vein, I think it's cool. Like the idea of this book being the kick-ass with Spider-Man. As I said, he's going to do that. It is weird, and it is kind of a forced deal of like, oh, the guy who killed my aunt, okay, I'll just do this thing that's
I'll take
weird.
his weird science fear.
Yeah, just think of it. Like the idea, it's not even just like, hey, do this or try this. It's put this spider on you and let it bite you, and I promise you'll have crazy powers. But it does seem like Peter has that kind of feel of like, oh yeah, this is what I've been missing. This is what has, like, it's almost like coming together. You have to kind of go with that, but you do have to suspend some disbelief when you're there and he's just standing on a rooftop doing crazy shit that the guy who killed his aunt and all these other people is telling him to do.
Fate. It's going to be a story about fate.
Yeah. And
Perhaps.
trust. And
I guess
love.
the other big thing in here, Doc, is Matt Murdock is clearly given like a eulogy or some type of public acknowledgement of the victims of the attack, and he's still blind.
Yeah. So,
Did he miss that origin? And maybe Daredevil's been there the whole time?
or it turns out Matt was just instead he just blinds him with normal stuff instead of toxic waste.
Like the toxic waste didn't make him blind. He was always going to be blind anyway.
No. He the maker decided I'm gonna fuck with Matt Murdock. I'm gonna make him blind, but he's not even gonna get any powers out of it. So fuck you, dude.
You just like forked him.
Yeah, he just went over and like stabbed him in the eyes.
That had to be done on purpose, though, right?
Maybe.
You think it was just an Easter egg?
I honestly, I don't even think Matt Murdock's going to play any role in this. I think he's going to be just a random. I don't think he'll be Daredevil because even if you remember back to the original Ultimate Universe, there was a Daredevil that was Matt Murdock, but he was really shoved in kind of later, and nobody cared. Like he never had a solo book. There was an Ultimate Daredevil and Elektra.
And Elektra. It was more through Elektra that he went with the Ultimate stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and he still had the exact same. Well, he had the Ben Affleck movie costume.
Yeah.
Which is the kind of sort of the comic costume, but it was mostly the Ben Affleck movie costume, just darker red.
Yeah.
And he never really mattered. And I don't think this Matt Murdock's going to really ultimately matter to the Ultimate Universe either.
I think the only thing that it does, I think that it's like put in there, try to give you that little feel of, again, without the heroes, without Spider-Man, without that some of these people are able to live the life that they always wanted to live. But I don't think I would be surprised if we really delve that deep into it, because again, when you see him right away, you're like, how's he blind? Like, what, and why isn't he this? And why would you? But I think it's supposed to be that best life type deal that some people might end up being, screwed over by a universe that now has heroes and villains.
Like
and
Lost when they're
like
doing
that.
flash forwards.
Exactly.
People got
No,
what they
the
wanted,
Flash-
and then they made them go back.
The
Yeah,
Flash
yeah.
sideways, whenever they were in their
Yeah.
perfect worlds in the last season. Yeah, that one.
We even had this in Rebirth of DC at one point when Wally West was going around and touching people, not in a sexy way, but touching them, and they would end up remembering past lives. And you had like the villain Magenta, who was actually good in the new universe, the reboot, and then she remembered she was a villain and was really pissed that she ended up remembering that and was very angry. They didn't really go very far with that, but it's kind of, I get that feel.
It's going to turn out that Matt Murdock's ideal life is still being blind, but being a priest instead of a lawyer.
Yes.
Well, he's a priest in the current Daredevil book. So what's weird though, Aaron, without the Matt Murdock origin, which we believe he probably doesn't have, there's no TMNT in this universe.
Oh, I guess not, because there's no inspiration.
Yeah,
Everybody's
never
like,
done
he's blind. How come how come he's not Daredevil, or how come he's still blind? This could very well be a universe where he was blinded, but he was never. There's no stick, so he was never trained.
Yeah.
To use, so he just kind of had to
So
overcome
the
it
maker
on his
took
own.
out stick.
Yeah.
So we still have TMNT.
You could still have. Well, I don't know, because if Daredevil's not running around on rooftops fighting crime and fighting, the Hand, then
And
Eastman and Laird are never inspired in this universe.
Maybe his dad's a good guy, and he didn't. You have some weird things that you could kind of deal.
Yeah,
with.
maybe he had a good
Just
dad in this
accepting it.
universe.
Yeah.
In this universe, his dad actually threw that fight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
took
threw
the
the fight
dive.
and got rich, and boom, priest.
What do you think, Dylan? TMNT in this universe?
I don't know. I want to know what turned him blind. That'd be nice. Like, did he get hit with like a little Three Stooges eye poke or something, and then
Maybe.
that's what
Too much
happened? Or
masturbation.
Diabetes.
diabetes got him. He didn't look as fat as Uncle Ben. He looked all right.
Diabetes devil. Well,
He wasn't
he
fat ass
got
like
he got
Ben.
juvenile diabetes. He didn't have to. He didn't have to be overweight.
True.
He's had it since he was a kid, and now he's diabetes devil. It's Wilford Brimley under that mask.
I definitely want a book on seeing how the maker undid the origins. Like, what did he do? You know what I mean?
That would mean that they actually had this all planned out. They didn't. They're gonna make this up as they go along the same way that they've done everything else.
Ultimate Invasion showed some things, so you get like kind of the setup, but they could go deeper.
So is Kingpin not a good guy or bad guy? He's just a media tycoon. He's not like a crime dude anymore.
Wouldn't that
You
make
say
him a
that-
bad guy automatically?
You say that like there's a difference.
Yeah.
Well, he's not pushing drugs or pimping girls out and stuff like that, running
don't-
guns.
We
No,
don't
instead
know
he's
that.
pushing propaganda and
Yeah.
probably
Who's the
lying
guy
to
with the-
people.
Who was the guy with the eye patch? Was that a Von Strucker or something?
I'm thinking it might be Baron Strucker.
Yeah. He
No
looked
Nick
like he was
Fury on
happy.
that one.
Then how far back does the undoing of all these heroes, was Captain America in World War II? Like, what
Wow, we come full circle to Bendis once again, like original Age of
He's
Ultron.
still on their eyes.
Oh, dude, remember that?
don't bring up Bendis.
Dude,
Don't bring up Age of Ultron.
don't bring
The fucking
People like
terrible
Bendis'
miniseries.
ultimate work, right?
His ultimate work, but no, Age of Ultron. That was his terrible pseudo ultimate
Pseudo-Christ.
universe done in the regular Marvel universe that was gonna be a tie-in to the movie, but didn't really tie into the movie whatsoever. And it was just an excuse for Hitch to draw ultimate style, but with 616 heroes.
Gilmer Eric Smith thinks that the guy with the eye patch was Bullseye.
Ooh,
And that would make more sense, wouldn't it?
yeah, like New York based.
How does he still have any depth perception then?
Well, he's clearly not he's not an assassin.
Yeah, the maker took his eye, so he couldn't have depth perception, so he could never master his uncanny ability to throw things.
If he did that, that would mean in the future he would become a hero, and he had to undo that, right?
Maybe. I mean, there's all kinds of. That's the interesting thing about this is it's like there's all kinds of possibilities.
Yeah,
But the question is whether or not they'll be executed in an exciting and interesting way, or whether or not it'll just be kind of like become one of those. It's just different kind of fests that we we
like
get.
the maker
Look
had
how
to
different this is.
experiment and was like, wait, if I took this guy, and this guy away, all of a sudden Bullseye becomes a hero. Now I got to take him off the picture. Like, how do I create this perfect world where we only have villains and no heroes?
I gotta pluck out his eye like Pai Mei did to did to Daryl Hannah.
you old fool.
Daryl Hannah, like the actress?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
Kill
a Kill
Bill.
Bill reference.
Kill Bill too, yes. Okay.
I just couldn't remember her. I couldn't remember her character name.
Ellie
off the top of my
Driver.
head. That's it. Yeah.
I thought they were all named after snakes.
Well, she was. Yeah, they were. They all had their code names. Were all
Black
snakes.
Mamba. I should have been Black Mamba. Oh man, I saw the part 2 of that, tripping on mushrooms. I mean, we were all peeking when we hit the Texas funeral scene. We were like, "Oh my god, it was so fun!"
What is the like the siren noise like that she when she sees one of her enemies? What is that like on mushrooms?
It was fun. It was really good. Hey, you know what? I saw Spider-Man 3 on mushrooms. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3 on mushrooms.
Be the way to do it.
Explains why I love that stupid movie.
My question for Sully is: when you do mushrooms, do you make a pizza
No.
or a steak and then put them in this with that mushroom sauce on the top of your steak? Like, would that work?
I would be afraid that the heat would I would be afraid that the heat would kill this the
Psilocybin.
The psychotropic.
And it's probably just we'll then like explain
Right.
heat too.
We've
but-
devolved into how to best prepare your
Hey,
mushrooms.
man.
It's always saying don't cook them. Don't cook your magic mushrooms.
Don't cook your magic mushrooms, man. You might have a bad trip, man.
I figured I'd ask the professional cook here.
Well, I'm asking the
That's why I'm
professional Marvel aficionado, Doc. So you're bought into this Ultimate Spider-Man?
I can read another issue. I may actually, you know what? After reading that this morning for the show, I may go buy it.
Oh my!
And then maybe buy the next issue.
And you should get the Deadly Duo while you're at it.
No.
Mark Silvestri is your favorite artist.
I'm still not gonna no. No, I'm gonna buy this, and I may buy issue 2 if I remember when it finally comes out.
Very nice. What do you think? Is this the hottest MJ has ever looked, Doc? Because people are claiming that.
No. Honestly, I think both McFarlane and Larson did her better.
And certainly J. Scott Campbell, but that's more.
Oh yeah, J. Scott Campbell. I mean, but it's all cover work. No, for interior pages, it's very it's not bad by any stretch, but it does not really hold a candle to negligee wearing, big haired, big boobed MJ trying to flirt with Peter back in the McFarlane or Larson runs.
So you don't like her childbearing hips?
No, that's fine. But she was hotter when she was maybe a little sluttier.
Let's throw a little credit to Alex Saviuk too. You know, Alex Saviuk was right in that same time frame when MJ was super hot and super flirty with Peter, and he drew me an MJ too. He never gets. I feel poor Alex never gets the credit for Web of Spider-Man that he should.
You know what? I wasn't really reading Web of at the time, so. But yeah, you know what? I went back and bought some of those. Yeah, Alex Saviuk, he was right up there too.
All right, Doc. So as somebody that hates seeing superheroes get married and have kids, are you okay with Peter being married and having kids?
Peter's not a superhero yet, so he's a regular person that went and had kids, got married, had kids, and now he's becoming a superhero in his middle ages. So at 35, 38, something like that.
Do you like the interactions?
I do. I mean, look, here's the thing. I've always liked married Peter. I just never wanted them to, have kids, especially kids with powers, because kids in the comics always get aged up too quickly because they don't want to basically spend 10 years of publishing with, the mom running around doing diapers and stuff. So they find a way to age the kids up, and suddenly they're a toddler after, or like in, 7, 8, 9 years old. And it's only been 4 years of publishing when it should have taken 25 years to get there. Somehow they're less old, or they're more old in the comics with a sliding timeline than they are in actual publishing history. That's what always happens with kids. I mean, you look at the Richards kids, you look at John Kent, you look at Damian Wayne, look at most of them. They get aged way the fuck up. Yeah. Now all of a sudden they have to slap them in there as some sort of a sidekick.
I mean, look at Kitty Pryde. She was literally 13 years old in her first appearance in Uncanny X-Men.
Now she's 40.
How old is Kitty Pryde?
They treat her like she's 40.
Well, Kitty Pryde doesn't exist in the comic books anymore.
How old is Kate Pryde? Is she 23, 25?
I don't know. Kate Pryde's an imaginary character. Doesn't exist.
Captain Kate?
Plant clone weirdo villain versions, soulless plant clones don't count. They don't have ages.
But that's like an old soap opera thing. We soap opera fans know it as SORAS, SORAS, soap opera rapid aging syndrome. And when your hero couple falls in love, they have a baby, and next thing you know it, the baby's a teenager, and so they can have their level of melodrama and antics, and so it goes. And that's what's Damien? Damien's got to be 14 or 15 now, right?
Soap operas also pioneered characters just suddenly becoming another race.
Really?
Or just vanishing.
Yeah, disappearing or
coming back to life.
And
here's the problem with that. The problem with things like Kate Pryde is that let's say she's 25 when she was introduced, she was 13, but nobody else moves along with them. So the X-Men are not really any older, but she's aged 10 years and become a completely different character. Doc, let me know if I'm off base here, but I would say peak Kitty Pryde was Excalibur Kitty Pryde. That's where she was like the best.
That
cool. Was because she was like 16 and kind of sort of like going back and forth with Brian Braddock on who was really running the team, but she's like 16 and leading the team.
And she could take command without coming off like just a complete
overbearing,
the British would say a bint.
Yes. Yeah, that's the appropriate term for it. She wasn't obnoxious, she wasn't overbearing, she wasn't
Sprite, she wasn't Ariel, she was
Shadowcat, which is the best
1.
best name she had, best costume she had, and with the best characterization that she had.
All right, so let's
go ahead.
So let's start wrapping up Ultimate Spider-Man #1 with the success that it appears has happened here, Dylan. It sounds like it probably sold very well. People were very happy with this comic book. Does Marvel Comics learn anything from this?
No, not at all. Of course not. They're not going to learn anything. They'll go exactly back to how they were doing things before, and it won't take long. They're not going to learn anything from this. Because fans have been complaining about what's been going on with Zeb Wells forever, since it started, and they haven't learned anything. So, of course, they're not going to learn anything here when they do something right for once.
Well, that was very pessimistic. We need an optimistic take.
Okay.
Come on, Sully. Are they going to learn anything from this?
Yes. We're going to learn where this goes one issue at a time. I mean, what if Peter has a mutation?
No, what is Marvel going to learn?
Oh, what is Marvel going to learn?
Success.
Well, nothing. I mean, they're a magazine publisher. They just want to throw titles on the shelves.
They're going to put Ultimate on more things?
Tons, yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna then there's gonna be a crossover, like they've already planned that for like 2025. There's already like some kind of ultimate crossover, Ultimate Cataclysm 2, Electric Boogaloo, I can see
Secret
it
of
now.
the Ooze.
What's the Jeff Loeb story? They should reuse that name. Ultimatum.
Oh, yeah.
Ultimatum 2, the new batch.
But yeah, I mean, I'm in for this. I didn't think I was gonna be. I'm surprised and pleasantly surprised because I need to be impressed to literally buy something, and I liked it enough. And I'm going to get Ultimate Spider-Man. I'm going to get Ultimate X-Men because the Peach Momoko factor, and we'll see how long it lasts and see how long a run could be. Bendis had a long ass run on Ultimate Spider-Man. I mean, we had Bendis and Bagley, and which looked better with Art T. Bear's inks, I gotta say. When Scott Hanna took over inking, that magazine lost a big step, I feel. But I mean, that's a run. I mean, I got a huge chunk of those floppies. I got like 90 of those original, first run of volume 1 of Ultimate Spider-Man. I loved that magazine. I came back every month for that thing, man. Really good stuff. I mean, like, so I want that feel again, that like to anticipate going to the local comic book shop on a Wednesday and being like, "Oh, Ultimate Spidey's on the shelf. Let's go." I like that. I like that a lot.
You know what I liked
Doc.
better than Ultimate Spidey?
sorry.
It's gonna be a controversial take, but do you guys remember when John Byrne? I think it was called Spider-Man Chapter 1, and it was he was doing a series where it was like in between the issues of Amazing Spider-Man from the very beginning, and telling like other little tales, kind of the way that Chris Claremont would fill in little bits of X-Men continuity in classic X-Men with new pages, but this was like just whole new chapters that you could fit in. That was good stuff.
Yeah,
very nice. Doc, do you think MJ ends up with an OnlyFans in the Ultimate Universe?
She already has one.
I think she already has one. She's and you find out she's actually doing hot wife stuff, and that's how she actually met Harry Osborn. Not in the way you think.
It's my knowledge she hasn't met the guy, so we shall see. Do you have any final words on Ultimate Spider-Man here, Aaron?
No, I mean, check it out if you like Spider-Man books and you want to see Spider-Man with a family before they probably pull the rug out from under us and kill some of them. I think that it's a solid first issue. Like I said, not the most exciting issue in the world, certainly not groundbreaking, but a good solid comic book that's told by somebody who knows how to write a story. I will take that in the current landscape of comics.
Very nice. Finally, Jim, do you feel uncomfortable seeing a happy family portrayed in comic books?
Yes, it pisses me off. I want realistic things. Now, actually, it's great because when I read comics, I want to like aspire to what they're doing. And
You want to escape?
I'm like, boy, I'd love that. I come downstairs and people are nice. They talk to me. Boy,
A
that
wife
is
that doesn't
dream
want to
world.
kill you.
Made
Yeah,
some
a
extra
wife.
bacon?
Yeah, maybe extra bacon, all that. I mean, yeah.
Ooh.
In the whole play of it was me, like I would have gotten thrown off the balcony at the one point. Like the idea of anything you want to do, Peter, that's good because we're a nice, happy family. That I've never heard those words, so I like it. I'm like, this is pretty cool fantasy stuff here.
Escapism.
Yeah, yeah.
Hickman clearly knows that how simple men are. Like all it really takes to make our day is extra bacon. Like
That's
we're,
it.
like, we're flying for the
That's
rest of
the
the day.
trick. That's the dupe.
As
but
you're
it works.
perusing through and you're skipping pages, you're like, oh, bacon. What happened
Yeah,
there? I better read that one. So I agree. I enjoyed the comic book. I don't think it's perfect. I still think Transformers #1 was a better way to start off a series, but this one definitely works, and you certainly get a lot of different flavors of what this new Spider-Man universe is and what New York is, and how the changing landscape is going to be altered out and played out over time. We do have a couple of super chats. Let's see what the people were saying. Jay says, Elektra, she blinded me with violence.
Violence.
Daredevil is Thomas Dolby.
Yes.
She
blinded me with violence.
Daredevil's always got like weird fetishes. Maybe she tied him up and blinded him.
Ooh.
That would be a weird book.
And it was directed by Zack Snyder, so Hallelujah played behind it.
It'd be done. Yeah, Chuck Austin could write it. Be real
Chuck
strange.
Austin's got plenty of weird fetishes that he likes putting in his comics, so sure.
Huh. Common Sense. You saw the new news that Dennis Camp is going to write the new Ultimates. What do you want to see in Ultimate Black Panther and X-Men? Yeah, I did see the news, and I do think Dennis Camp is actually a pretty good writer. Like he's got potential to be somebody that's important. So I'm somewhat excited about that. I don't know, Sully is somebody that loved Ultimate Spider-Man. What are you looking for Ultimate Black Panther and X-Men?
I'm looking forward to Ultimate X-Men personally because I like Peach Momoko's art. We were talking about her earlier. Like I got a couple of those Nightmare variants, like Hulk #7, Doctor Strange #11, just for her variant covers. There is a Cherry Pop-Tart collected edition, a hardcover, and it's already sold out. There are only, I think, 500 made, but Peach Momoko had a cover for that too. I was going to get that one, so I'm a big fan of hers. So Armor is going to be the lead character. So here you have a Japanese girl telling the story of, a Japanese girl in this manga-ish kind of, Japanese watercolor style. And I've always liked Armor. I liked those Warren Ellis X-Men books a lot. And I'm interested to see where she takes this. I'm fascinated with figuring out her art, and because she's weird, and you can apply your eye to it and figure some stuff out. Black Panther, and I'll probably read it, a digital copy or so, and if it's impressive, I will always go back and get it. Always.
Stefano Caselli's on the art, so it's going to look absolutely fantastic. Dylan, do you know what you want to see in this Black Panther X-Men, or are you just going to check it out just to see what's happening?
I'll check it out, see what's happening. I'm interested to see the people with more traumatic origins, how they get their powers. Like, what's going to happen to those people, because Peter just has to get bit by a spider. But if you have some other characters, like I know Magneto's not a hero, but does he have to like watch his family get holocausted or something? Like, what's going to happen? How do you go through everything to get everyone back? I saw, like, does Xavier have to now go and get crippled? Like, what does Tony do for him?
I've got
Nancy
this crowbar.
Kerrigan.
You just got to go with me on this one.
Yeah, just trust
He just
me.
gotta hit him, and he just gotta, hit him with a truck.
Going to get you in the sweet spot.
Yeah, you have some
Put you
real
back
cool
in the
powers.
chair.
Don't worry about it. Trust me.
I do
the
think it's
terrorist-
weird in the X-Men that Armor's the lead and they're like, isn't a Professor X.
Yet,
But can you have an X-Men book not led by an actual like big time X-Men character and actually sell? I don't
No.
know.
I'll probably get there. It's probably just going to be set up to like Armor,
Yeah.
exhibiting her powers, and then like by issue 3, the Blackbird shows up, and there's a guy in a wheelchair with Cerebro and Scott and Jean being, come with us to the academy, something like that.
But everything
I don't think you've
manipulated.
read Ultimate Universe and Ultimate Invasion or whatever.
I did. It
He's
was wicked
basically
worthy.
broke up the entire
Yeah.
planet, and there are villains in charge of places by like regional, like it's regionally broke up. So Black Panther is
Right.
going to be fighting the villains that are in charge of Africa. X-Men are going to be fighting the villains in charge of Asia. Spider-Man's fighting the villains at least on the East Coast of America. I wonder if the Ultimates is going to be on the West Coast or maybe in Europe. But he's kind of broken it down regionally. So I'm assuming the X-Men are going to stay in Asia.
Be interesting. We'll find
Like
out.
Moon Knight is in charge of Africa or something right now.
Hmm.
At least what appears to be Moon Knight, right, Jim?
Yeah, that's the thing. And remember, again, he got rid of all the heroes. There's what he could do, but are there still mutants? Are there still, that's the interesting things that I want to see from this. A little extra world building, hopefully very connected with all the books to see how this larger picture is, as well as just the actual teams in the books.
Very
Seems
nice.
like
We
the
shall
maker
see.
is a big. Seems like the maker is a big fan of Old Man Logan. He
Yeah.
made the world in such a way that villains are in charge, different geographic locations. And,
Or it's almost like Hickman just keeps stealing from Mark Miller. Because that
Little bit.
seems to be what he's
a little
doing
bit.
for all of this. He's like, I'm going to just take a little bit from Kick-Ass over here, a little bit from
Little Wanted.
Wanted,
it
a
is
little
true,
bit
but
of,
hey, the idea of stealing,
Old
you
Man
might as well steal from
Logan.
something really good.
yeah, I mean,
So you got that at least.
Yeah, steal from the best.
Yeah.
And we did start the Comics Guild this past week on the Patreon, and we did our review of Wanted #1. A fantastic comic. I would say
Awesome.
just a little bit better than Planetary #1, Doc. You gonna yell at me?
no, I can't really yell at you. They're different. They're very, very different books. So
Very, very similar, though, in the first issue.
yeah, you're kind of getting
Being introduced to this
Exposed
big
to
world,
a
to a female
world.
character. Yes.
yes, and you're getting that through Checchetto in the first issue, but
And
it
Fox
becomes
and Wanted.
Elijah quite quickly.
Very nice. Well, thank you for spoiling that since I started
You're welcome.
Yeah.
reading
really.
at issue #1 and I haven't made it to the reveal.
Whose
You're
fault is that, Wes?
Well, I guess it was my fault for trusting Doc.
It's a 25-year-old comic. How much can I really
Yeah.
spoil?
Well, since I haven't read a page of it, you could actually spoil everything.
Okay,
Huh?
so so do you like?
It's
the
okay,
Fantastic
Doc. I don't
Four?
get mad when people spoil stuff.
So do you
Wes,
like the
it
Fantastic
turns
Four?
out. It turns out that in The Sixth Sense, Bruce Willis was dead the whole time.
Yes. Darth Vader is Luke's father.
Rosebud was his sled.
Oh, my goodness.
Verbal Kint is Kaiser Sose.
Rommel, you magnificent bastard! I read your book.
Spoilers, whatever.
Also,
No, we will.
Brad Pitt's wife's head's in the box.
Well,
Crying
that's a good
game
moment
is
in
messed
cinema.
up.
That was a happy ending with Gwyneth Paltrow's head in the box. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I
Finally
mean,
something
they turned this
fun.
around. This was kind of a miserable, depressing slog up until this happy ending.
So I do imagine, Jim, you own a copy of the Crying Game. It's likely in your satchel that you walk
No,
around and claim this
I-
in a purse.
I'm not really a movie guy, but yes, you're right. No, it's right next to Mamma Mia, 1, 2, and 5. No, I remember that being the big thing, and everybody's losing their mind for that. But nobody knows what we're talking about now. Nobody knows the Crying Game.
Dylan, have you watched the Crying Game?
No, I've not.
Have you ever heard of it?
It sounds familiar, but no, I've not seen the Crying
Probably
Game.
as a joke.
There was a
Yeah.
huge campaign, the Don't Let Out the Secret, when it
Mm-hmm.
was nominated for Best Picture or whatever. And I wish they just told me the secret and I wouldn't watch the movie.
I know. I
that
know.
bad.
I guessed the secret by
Wasn't
accident
expecting it.
because it was such a big campaign. And I'd be like, wouldn't it be funny if, they got all these people to the theater and then it turned out, and if you haven't seen the Crying Game, I won't spoil it. That's
Well,
the one
that's
thing I
the
won't
funny
spoil
thing,
here.
Aaron. You're saying this, and that campaign works so well that it's still affecting us. We don't
It's
wanna
still
say it.
effective,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's crazy.
But I said to my friend, because my friend was like, oh, I just saw the Crying Game. And I was like, oh, what was the big twist? Oh, it would be hilarious if blah, blah, blah. And then his face was just like,
Yeah.
and I was like, that's the twist, really? Oh, okay.
There's one extra hot dog in the movie. Is what you could go with. It's the twist.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about whether or not comic fans do want to be happy. Callum Lyle did bring up that article that, well, it wasn't an article. It was more of a short interview from Josh Williamson with, I believe, the Popverse, and some of the sites picked up on it. Then a lot of people ended up picking up on it and kind of twisted it around there. Now, Aaron and I did have a full conversation about that one. But, Doc, you are a comic book fan, and it does seem like you are happier being upset than when you're happy. Maybe he's onto something.
I don't think so. I mean, look, I like. Now, do I want I don't want my characters to be, just sitting around.
You don't want to get Nightwing.
Nightwing is what that is. Yeah.
Talking about how great their fucking life is, and I'm
Unless
sorry,
it's
you
about
can't
to fall apart.
Yeah, you can't really have much drama when everything's going fine. So I don't want them, in a super happy place. I don't want them being just dragged through the ringer all day, every day, because that gets old too.
Yeah.
So
Who's the guy in Game of Thrones that had his dong cut off?
Theon.
Theon. It was even for a bad guy. It was too much.
Yeah, like you drag them through the mud constantly. It runs out of it loses its effectiveness quite quickly.
Yeah, you have to have hope that things might get better.
And you have to periodically get it better and then pull the rug out, but in different, unique ways each time. And sometimes it's only a minor, inconvenience. Other times it could be major, life-altering shit.
Yeah.
But, you kind of bounce around with that. So I don't want them to be miserable, and I sure as hell don't like being miserable reading comics. I mean, look, my favorite time was reading the X-Men whenever they were operating from the shadows, and they were able to strike freely at people, but they had to trade for people, everyone that they know and loved, thinking that they were dead. So yeah, I think put them in weird situations. I don't want them super happy and just kind of always everything going their way all the time, because you know what? That's what makes for really fucking boring reading. I don't want my
the
characters
X-Men
validated
in the sewers, like having to eat rats to survive.
No, because
Like
you're
Dick
again
Grayson.
going with the run them completely through the ringer all the time approach. There's got to be just, hey, unfortunate shit happening, but not like
I want them playing baseball and enjoying each other's company and having that moment of, companionship, and everything's kind of calm and everything's going pretty well. And then Nimrod shows up and, fights him in Central Park.
yeah,
Some
and,
danger room stuff, please.
and literally kills one of them while they're in a baseball game. Like, holy fucking shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the problem is, like, say, with the Batman going that way, the idea that if you keep having different writers jump on and everything has to be, oh my God, Batman's miserable, he becomes incompetent. You just like we joked, he keeps losing Gotham because, that's the dark thing, and he has to be behind the. But when are they going to realize that he sucks? I mean, he's lost Gotham so much, and you need to have that nice moments in between and have them win sometimes and have them aspire to actually be happy. But, they won't be. But still, they take it to the extreme.
Yeah, and stop telling me that Batman can prepare for Batman can beat anybody if he has enough prep time. Because he's had plenty of prep time to protect Gotham. Yeah. He's been doing it for years, and yet he keeps losing it.
And he keeps losing it by things he doesn't even know are happening. So he isn't. It's just that there's where
Remember
he
when he went
feels
on vacation?
incompetent. Yeah,
Just went to Hawaii
Magnum
with his
PI.
girl?
He dressed up like Magnum PI, and Alfred gets his neck stabbed. I mean, that's what happens. That's why I don't go on vacation.
But it was all worth it for hey Bat, hey Cat.
Yeah,
so cute.
God.
And that's where we said, and Wes said it earlier about that idea of misery and they can't be happy. Well, that is.
Well, we were miserable reading that run.
Yeah, and then but when you get to a point, like it's just too much, and
it becomes
limited
porn.
stories. Like Doc said, you don't really have much story. Then it's just misery is the story. And while that Tom King Batman run at the beginning, oh my God, this is so great! It's delving into the persona. We're getting the man behind the mask, and then you're realizing I don't want that. And really, it ends up becoming Tom King himself. And then it's just nothing. And
Surprise! It was Tom King the whole time.
God. It's like Scooby-Doo at the end. It was me.
That's
My
the Tom
God.
King twist every time, as it turns
Yeah.
out. It was me.
Yeah, yeah.
So Dylan, I do think the best example of what Josh Williamson was talking about when people are too happy, or they should be happy because the character's in a good place, people get less interested, probably is the Tom Taylor Nightwing run, where he really hasn't been in danger for 2 or 3 years. Like, there's a dude ripping hearts out of people. He's never even tried to rip his heart out. Like, he basically is winning, and people are always erecting statues for him and stuff. And it did get really boring really fast.
Yeah, he had everything easy. He got the billions from Alfred. He's just having the best time with Babs. Nothing. There's no challenges at all. And like his biggest problem was cops graffitiing a statue. Like that was his biggest. Oh no! I remember before when Bloodhaven like first came around, everything when Chuck Dixon was building that up, and it was like, this place, get it? It's worse than Gotham. Like that's how bad it is. And now Bloodhaven's like, oh man, there's people doing graffiti. Like,
You
that's
don't even
how
need a
hard-
prison.
Yeah,
Like
it's like
Secaucus, New
there's
Jersey
nothing
to
wrong with it.
Manhattan.
But
Totally.
the Josh Williams thing was definitely overblown. Like he had some poor choice of words, but then he clarified. Like he used the example of a roller coaster, which there's ups and downs. That's exactly what you want. You don't want it just flat the whole time. You don't want it to just because then it gets boring. You don't want them just always happy, but you also don't want the Tom King thing where they're just always miserable and there's no light at the end of the tunnel. You have it ebbs and flows. You have your good times, you have your bad times. You want to see him overcome things, but you also want to see him be happy too.
Did you?
We don't
read
want
the Nightwing?
misery. We want conflict.
Yeah.
And we want conflicts to eventually be resolved. And we want our heroes to overcome.
Yeah, I want to see him.
It's
go
really
through
simple.
it. Yeah.
Dylan, did you read the Nightwing story where he went on a pirating adventure?
Does Tom
Arr.
Taylor?
Yeah, it was
It's
the last
recent-
story arc
recent
that he
arc.
did.
No, I have not. So I read like the first 20 issues or something like that of his Nightwing run, and then I stopped. So I haven't read a Nightwing comic in a good bit because I just got bored. Because like you're saying, there's a homeless guy murdering people, and he's not taking care of it at all. I did a whole video talking about it, and I counted the amount of hearts in the background. And it was like a ridiculous amount, like hundreds of hearts. It's like there's so many people that died. Nightwing is not trying to stop this guy. Instead, he's just like, there's cops graffitiing statues, and that's his
You need to
biggest
plant
problem.
trees.
And I gotta help children steal from people. That's a big thing too.
So he goes on a pirate adventure, like Nightwing and pirates. Can you really get this wrong?
Arg.
The
Yes, you
first
can.
thing with the story arc is a flashback to B that apparently Rick Grayson put in something into like some safety deposit box that's run by pirates, and it turns out B is really like B Blood,
The pirate
Captain B
queen.
Blood. She was a pirate captain, the girl from the bar.
Why?
From Rick Grayson.
Why
stuff,
would
yeah.
anyone ever?
Remind you of Rick Grayson, right?
Yeah, why would you? You don't have to. There's no reason. There's no like giant fans of Rick Grayson. It's like, man, I really hope there's a
Here's
callback
the
to
thing,
that.
yeah. Well, Tom Taylor, he seems to want to. He thinks he has to redeem Nightwing for no reason, and one of the things was that Nightwing, Rick Grayson, ended up dissing B at the end of that.
Dropped
Rick,
her
like
like a
just
bad
left.
habit.
So it seemed like this was the way to. Oh, we'll make that right, and everybody's like, why?
No
Why
one
do
feels
that?
sorry for B.
No. And then when you find out what was in that box, it's just like, really, we spent all this for nothing. It was ridiculous. There wasn't a hot dog in there, though. I'll tell
No.
you that. An extra.
Well,
hot
what
dog.
was it, Jim?
Well, it was the security footage that, oh my God, Tony Zuko was involved in killing the Flying Graysons. I'm like, oh, really?
Like they
Like,
had
that's
security
it? That's
footage
it?
in
Yeah.
the 70s or 50s.
Yeah. And he's
or
like,
whatever.
oh, right. Now I got the
Set of
footage.
circuses.
And you're like, what? Like, why? It's ridiculous.
If you want to tell a redemption story, you don't put Tom Taylor on the
No.
book.
No, and it's the opposite of, again, but it's almost the proof of what Joshua Williamson was saying, that you can't have everything great. And it's weird because things in little bits, because remember, Dan Didio, that was the play with Nightwing. Nightwing doesn't work because he's too good a guy, and he's too happy, and he's too fun, so I don't like that. And then Tom Taylor, I'll show you, but now it's gotten to a point where who's right? Because it's boring as shit is what happens. You need some conflict. You need to have some struggle. And not only Nightwing could just do everything, but he has 8 million people who just jump to there and solve everything, and it just doesn't work.
Starfire needs to show up and slap the piss out of
Yeah,
Babs
and really,
throw some
yeah.
conflict in there.
And to go with what Dylan's saying, you have all these things, and you have the type. And Heartless is still running around, just doing his thing. And actually, at this moment, is teamed up with Tony Zuko. They're just running around.
Wait, Heartless is still around? He's still
Oh yeah, he's still going. He
They're
ended
on
up killing Bee's father for the pirate deal. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Like, I stopped reading Nightwing a good bit ago, and I thought he would have taken care of Hartley.
No.
That's ridiculous.
Isn't it?
Yeah, at the time I stopped reading, I was like, man, he hasn't done anything with Heartless. This is taking forever, but he'll probably deal with him soon. I'm like, I'm not going to stick around. And he still hasn't dealt with Heartless. That's insane.
Yeah, he's been ripping the hearts out of like homeless kids' chest for like 3 years straight.
How does Tom Taylor not realize that makes Nightwing look incompetent, like you were talking about earlier
but
with
you
Batman?
say that. Superman's told him a couple times that he's done a great job in Bloodhaven. That's why the Titans are the big team, because he's done so great, right?
And because all he needs to do is validate a character and verbally fillet them, and that makes them good. That's how they think it works.
Side
Tom
note
Taylor's a hack.
to like Green Arrow. I did like when Green Arrow came back. He's like, what do you mean the Justice League is around? He's like, there's something sinister here. Where everyone's like, the Titans can take care of it. Green Arrow's like, this isn't right. What's going on? I did like that with Ollie, where he's like, this is, everyone else is like, they've got it.
But remember, in that Ollie did have an aside that says, "Oh, that Nightwing, yeah, he's a great guy." Like you always have to. It's like Kamala Khan in the Marvel universe. Everybody wants to tell you how great she is, but let's see some things in the books.
Oh yeah, Captain America meets her, and he has to be like, "Oh, big fan."
Oh yeah,
and you're like, "Shut up!"
Yeah.
Like you're not going to make us like Kamala Khan because you made Captain America. You know, you put words in his mouth where he's like, "Oh, you're such a great hero." We're supposed to be like, "Well, if Cap said it, it must be true," because we know it's not Cap saying it. We know it's the writer saying it to try and get Kamala Khan over.
Yep.
Peter Parker asked for autograph.
Yeah. Peter Parker also showed his identity to a cancer kid because he knew he was about to die and it wouldn't hurt him.
Peter Parker also wore the Feminist Agenda T-shirt while sleeping on Mockingbird's couch.
Yeah,
they've cucked Peter. They've cucked Peter out so hard. Yeah,
maybe that's why people are liking Ultimate Spider-Man #1.
Yeah,
because he's an actual.
Because he's a man.
He's a man.
Maybe
like he's a slightly mopey man, but
he's a little mopey.
And in fairness, now if there's one criticism, going back to Ultimate Spider-Man, at no point at any point in that comic book does Peter Parker have display any personality. Everyone else has a personality except for Peter.
Yeah.
I think the idea that I think, and like I said, this is kind of Hickman's problem is that he doesn't human very well. But I think that the idea is going to be that Peter is just kind of a guy. He's got everything, but there's something just missing, and he's just kind of going through the motions. Like, this is what everybody told me I was supposed to do. This is what everybody told me I'm supposed to be. But there's still like some kind of emptiness inside me. And then therefore, when he becomes Spider-Man, because really, if you were happy and you were content in your life, and then you got the whole responsibility of the Spider-Man powers and things like that, it would be more of a curse than a blessing. You'd be like, "Oh my God, wait, what am I gonna do with this?" So he has to be kind of like vaguely dissatisfied, but we should be given a reason as to why he feels this way. What's ultimately driving this?
Is this Jonathan Hickman's Tom King moment where he decides he's going to explore his own midlife crisis through the character of Peter Parker?
I wish it was a chef situation. Before. Yeah, so I don't think that I hopefully not. I don't think that's likely just based on his history. What would have been fun was if it was a chef situation where he came in and he was like, "This book is going to be the meta commentary on my experience working on the Krakoa X-Men."
Misery.
That would be great. I don't know. What do you think? So I would say, Sully, you are the prime example that when you're happy, you do actually spend more money.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be completely happy with the character situation. They should be in danger. But that kind of brings you back because you're happy with the adventure.
Well, we were just talking about, it's a great example with Nightwing, because the worst thing I can say about a comic book, especially a superhero comic book, is to say it's safe. It's safe as milk. There's no tension. There's no stakes in a Tom Taylor superhero book. It's mild sauce. And it's not saying it's bad sauce. It's just not hot sauce. There's no stakes to it. There's no danger.
I'm saying it's bad sauce.
Well, it might be. And the danger, it's funny because that's why a lot of people like Tom Taylor's Elseworld stuff and his, out of continuity stuff, because you do have that danger in there. He used to be the guy who was known as the guy who killed characters off. And then I think he kind of, didn't like that play and went the opposite way.
But I'm kind of happy, buying, just have good taste of, experiment. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to read some comics online, but spend the money on the ones that resonate with you. Don't be afraid to. Yeah.
Terrence Bernard says, I don't need to love or hate the run. It needs to captivate me and make sense in the world and lore, leaving an impact.
It's not. That's pretty much right on the money. Like, you need to. It has to inspire you to come back. If I'm getting bland, sitting around talking, no stakes, no danger, the heroes easily beat the villains every single time, and they just joke around doing it, I am going to lose any amount of fire that I had for that book. It'd be like a TV show where, the good guy always wins. It becomes real and not even difficult. It'd be like if you're watching a police procedural and every single episode, the criminal that they're chasing is an incompetent buffoon that gets caught red-handed. Like in the first act, and then they just kind of mope around for the rest of the time and kill another 32 minutes after the first 10's done. Would you keep watching that fucking show? No.
Of course not. And thank you very much to everyone for supporting the channel. We are going to start wrapping this bad boy up a little bit earlier than normal, because Doc and I are going to review Rise of the Powers of 10 on Monday, and there's a big conversation we had about that comic book. So let's talk about some recommendations. Aaron Sparrow, you came to the dance. You read some comic books this week. Are you recommending any? Oh, he's muted.
Whoops. I'm obviously recommending Transformers #4. That was really good. And then I got a really nice and thoughtful Christmas gift that I've just dropped on the floor. One second.
How thoughtful of you.
This is this is live, everybody. I was given this for Christmas, and although I did buy the individual issues, it's nice to have them all collected. Some beautiful Mark Silvestri art in here. Obviously, one of my favorite X-Men artists of all time, and his art is absolutely beautiful here. So I'm recommending that if you guys don't have this, you haven't read this yet, go pick this up.
You know what's in shops this week, Aaron? The black and white pencils of those comic books start releasing this week. No words.
Ooh, I did not see that.
It's beautiful. It's really nice.
I'll have to go pick that up.
In single and floppy issues?
Yeah, it's Deadly Duo #1, just pencils only.
Oh, okay.
No word balloons. It's I like that.
I just wasn't sure if it was like a black and white penciled collected edition or if they were releasing it in floppies. Oh, that's cool.
All right. Anything else people need to know about your life, Aaron Sparrow? I know you've been traveling the globe. You've been on World Class Bullshitters. You're on RT Bear. You're on Josh's channel. You're on MVP's channel.
I'm all over the place. I'm a dirty Twitter hoe, or I'm a dirty YouTube hoe.
International, baby, international.
No, I keep getting invited, and if I've got the time, I'm happy to go on people's channels and talk. I think this is a lot of fun. I love how animated Sully is.
Thanks, man.
Guys, don't just listen to this and do other stuff and not pay attention to the screen. Sully's always doing something over there. No, I don't have anything like super exciting to talk about yet. If you guys follow me on Twitter or Instagram, go check out. I'm showing off pages from the Brotherhood of the Wolf project that I'm working on. So I think that you're really excited about that. Obviously, I'm showing off stuff for Kneel Before Doomface. So Renzo and I are still knocking that out, and going to be launching that this year. So sign up for updates at kneelbeforedoomface@gmail.com.
Very nice. So is this like the historical Wolf Brothers that you're talking about?
No, this is it's basically a survival horror story set during the Crusades.
Very nice. Sounds good. Mr.
Yeah, that's
DC
Brotherhood of the
Comics-
Wolf, not Neil before Doomface.
For Wested Comic Gamer, are Superman and Spider-Man too similar now they have families? Is Spider-Man just a less powerful version of Superman? Is that true, Dylan?
I wouldn't say so. Not just because they have families. I wouldn't say that they're like that similar at all. That's kind of like the only similarity, and things are a lot different between the two, especially with Clark now just taking in those War World kids, and John's kind of doing his own thing, and this also just gave Peter his family back, so we'll have to see how it goes. We don't really know yet, and also Superman's not as mopey as Peter is currently. So yeah, I don't think they're too
his
similar right now.
origin isn't as based in tragedy in his ongoing stories of Spider-Man. He's got a very different arc as far as a character.
Yeah, the characters definitely act much differently. They're just both family men right now. That's like the only real similarity.
The only big tragedy in Superman's life right now is John Kent's run.
He also, any
least it
kids
ended.
that he has get kidnapped. I mean, he doesn't even go to check out John, but that's fine.
Well, John can take care of himself.
Yeah,
John,
he thought
he's-
Nightwing was going to come save him, though.
Yeah, give him a
He
lollipop.
disowned John.
He didn't know that John was missing. There was a time switcheroo.
Yeah, it was only for like a few days in his
Yeah,
world.
Dylan Lindsay says, hello, everyone. Great show. Definitely something I try to catch every week. Hope you guys have a great week. Any Thor storyline recommendations?
Ooh, good question.
I mean, the Simonson run is the very first
Yeah.
thing you should go grab. That's fantastic. I think that the Gore the God Butcher storyline is very, very good. You really can't go wrong with a lot of even like I think that DeFalco's run is just kind of an unrecognized gem, just some fun stuff there. So yeah, there's lots of good runs. It's harder to we always kind of run into this because with DC it seems like it's always encapsulated into, okay, you should go read Nightfall and we can give you like a specific name. But with Marvel, just because of the way that they have always done more like kind of like long form, it's always like, check out this run. Like, yeah, we can give you a specific story, but check out this whole run.
Yeah. It did look like Donny Cates' store was going to be really good there for a minute, Doc. And that opening story is actually pretty good.
You know what? I didn't bother to come on until like issue 5 of that, so I missed it. I mean, it wasn't bad, and it was going in a good direction until the whole Banner of War thing, and that's whenever I lost any interest. But I'm pretty sure that's about the time that Donny Cates lost his mind. So, parallels.
There. Yeah. You got any Thor storylines people should check out?
You know what? I always did like the I guess it was probably from around issue 350. Actually, yeah, from about 350 to 375. There was a whole thing with Eric Masterson losing, and then him becoming Thunderstrike, and Thor being Thor. Him getting separated, the two entities being separated from one another. I always liked that. It was fun. And there was this whole thing with the Wrecking Crew in there where they were fighting in the middle of the street. And there was this I remember there was that weird, I think it was the Simonsons that created it. It was like a team of superhuman EMTs. Like they were like first responders, but for superhero.
Was that Code Blue? Was that Code Blue?
Code Blue, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was DeFalco actually, because at the time Marvel had Marvel had incentive bonuses for introducing new characters and concepts. What a wild thing, right? And then maybe you'd get some royalties on the back end if they became anything. So DeFalco was just like introducing all kinds of stuff. You got like new villains like Blood Axe, and you got Code Blue, and there was some really fun stuff in that run.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I didn't know who wrote it, honestly. I couldn't remember.
If you like Thor adjacent stuff, the Daniel Warren Johnson Beatty Ray Bill miniseries is absolutely a great time and the best Scourge you're ever going to see in comics.
Yep.
Oh, and you can also go back to right before Onslaught, midriff bearing, hair down to his ankles, heavy metal Thor.
Yeah, the Deodato redesign. Oh man, with the actual chains on it because it was the 90s and Spawn was popular.
Of course, the best Thor is from Adventures in Babysitting, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio. People forget that the Kingpin was Thor.
That's awesome.
Man, that was a good movie.
I love it.
Common Sense says the Hood is going to take Johnny's Spirit of Vengeance.
Yeah, I saw that.
That looks
Weird.
interesting.
Weird.
Fucking stupid.
So I've been reading Ghost Rider. I know you have as well, Jim.
Yeah.
Have they been leading up to this?
No. Me and you thought it was going to be Tell You War Road.
Yeah, me too.
And maybe
It could be.
that would have made more sense, but I don't know that people would have liked that. But I don't think people are going to like this either. And
I think this is better than Talia War Road.
it
At least
is.
This
It is. Now,
you know,
one thing, though, at least it gives you that idea. Okay, I see why you're rebooting it at number 1. You get that. But, yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
It is weird. I don't even know what to think about it.
I don't either. Yeah.
Very strange. So as far as comic book recommendations, Dylan, you got any comic books to recommend this week?
Yeah, I've got some. I didn't read a whole lot this week yet, but I did read the new Action Comics 1061 from Jason Aaron. It's actually pretty fun. It's a good first issue in a new Bizarro arc. So if you were like me and you're very hesitant about Jason Aaron taking over, I'd say it's worth checking out. First issue's good. Obviously, we talked about Ultimate Spider-Man #1. I think it's a bit overrated, but it is good. It's a good time, and it's worth your money if you want a good Spider-Man book. These two didn't come out this week, but Kneel Before Zod #1 I thoroughly enjoyed. Joe Casey's back. I had a good time with that, so I recommend checking that out. And Duke #1 was great. I was surprised by how good that was, especially if you're hesitant about them merging the G.I. Joe and Transformers universe. This has a really cool like spin on it where how Duke enters in. It's really good. So those are my recommendations.
Absolutely. Do you got anything else going on this week? Maybe a special video or a stream or something people should know about?
Yeah, I just reviewed Action Comics 1061, so check that out. And then I'm probably going to be replaying through the Batman Arkham games in anticipation for the new Suicide Squad game that looks horrible, but that's what I'm going to be streaming soon.
it's getting
is Jason
surprisingly
Aaron-
good reviews though. The Suicide Squad game. Like I'm seeing some good reviews from people that were like pretty skeptical. So, but they're saying like it doesn't last. Like you don't really want to stick around that long, and for a live service game, that's very, very bad.
Yeah, that's really bad, especially compared to the Arkham games, because I've already played those so many times, done like all the open world exploration and everything. So, yeah, but we'll see how it is.
So Dylan, is Jason Aaron perfect at DC Comics so far?
So far, he's batting pretty good. I like Batman Offworld. I like Action Comics. It's surprising. Now, I don't know how long this is going to last. I don't know what's going to happen because, like, back to Tom Taylor, when he first took over Nightwing, I liked the first couple issues. I was like, man, this is really good. And then it just torpedoed. So maybe that'll happen with Jason Aaron, but who knows?
How many issues has he written of each of them?
He's written 3 total, so 2 of Batman and 1 of Superman.
Oh yeah, you're not even close to the point where he starts fucking your shit up.
Yeah.
Well, he's only
Okay,
writing
really early.
3 issues of Action, period. The Batman Offworld is a miniseries. And
Okay,
then he's going to
so-
start up like their Ultimate Universe thing with Scott Snyder and Al Ewing.
Mm-hmm.
So next month,
understand.
about halfway through Superman, he's gonna fuck your shit up.
Maybe the secret to Jason Aaron is only letting him do like 3-issue arcs.
Yeah, maybe.
Because
Maybe
there's not a lot of he has to stick to a story. There's not much damage he can do.
Maybe
There's
the
a lot of
secret,
writers like that.
maybe the secret to Jason Aaron is to tell him he has 12 issues and then fire him after 3. He
All right.
still is in the I haven't pulled the rug out and completely screwed up the entire foundation of your character yet. So you don't give him the opportunity, but you let him build, you let him think
All
that
right.
he's gonna get 12 issues to do it. Then you just fire him at 3 and you might have a competent steer.
I remember when I thought that guy was a good brand. It's been a long time since I thought that.
All right. So we've also got some comic book recommendations from Sully, the Soul to Soup himself, who gave
That's
my
me.
slow cooker recipe the blessing.
Indeed. And just want to say to everyone in the chat, spider babies, we make our dreams come true. Da, da,
Weird.
da, da, da. They're gonna be singing that all day. That's your
You wanted
earworm.
Hickman Spider Babies after
Spider
Ultimate Spider-Man
babies.
#1.
That's right.
As a mod, how do I kick Sully?
Hey, you be nice to me, man. I'm sensitive. I just want to say I got a bag of funny books. I spent almost $50 on new comic books. I got 9 floppies this past Wednesday. It would have been 10 if Green Lantern #7 hadn't have sold out on Wednesday.
That was the best book.
That was
I'm
one of the best books too.
I'm
And I
just
want to
doing
say
the
too,
math.
Maybe it's Transformers. It was one of the
Yeah, the math is terrible on that.
But-
Yes,
Yeah.
$50
want-
for 9 comics. That's terrible math.
I mean, this is this was $45 for different comics. You
So
know,
that's $5 a comic.
about that, yeah.
Average,
And But Wolverine 41, that's got the sauce. That's the opposite of Nightwing. This had stakes. This got tension. This got like loss. And it's a good way for Ben Percy to start off this Sabretooth war. I'm looking forward to what's next. But yeah, so Wolverine 41 was good. But I got Sacrificers number 6. This is one. If you're sleeping on this, you're sleeping on a good comic book. I got the facsimile of X-Men number 1 just because it's going to look good on my spinner rack. I got, of course, Transformers number 4. This was amazing. I got Bloodrick number 2. Bloodrick is this sword and sorcery kind of tale, and it's got great pencil, great art. Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man number 1. I got Adventure Man Ghost Lights number 1 by Matt Fraction and the Dodsons, because I didn't know that Matt Fraction was doing anything or releasing new comic books. So I'll check it out. I didn't know it was an ongoing series from before and a continuation, but I don't be afraid to check out a comic book that, like, hey, look, one of my older favorite writers. I didn't like his Marvel stuff as much, but I'm a huge fan of Casanova. So I do have a little bit of faith in Matt Fraction. I got the Jorge Jimenez variant cover for Action 1061. And this was a decent comic book. I got the last issue of Duke number 1. It's a couple of weeks old, but you know what? I finally just I'm in. This was a great issue. I'm looking forward to issue 2. I'm really looking forward to Cobra Commander. And finish it off with Zorro by Sean Gordon Murphy. It's on Massive, Whatnot Publishing. And it's just, Sean got the licensing for Zorro. And so he's going to be making Zorro comics. So I love Sean's stuff, and I'm in for that. So once again, Wes, thank you so very much for having me on. Thank you very much for the panel and the great comic book shop style conversation and the best live chat in the world.
Absolutely. And do you have anything that you should be plugging? I know you got a channel.
I got a YouTube station. I just broke 1,300 subscribers. I make content like about cooking, about spirituality, and about comic books. I have a Wednesday and a Sunday show, which revolves around new releases and occasional old comic books too. So come on by, subscribe, turn on those notifications, ring that bell.
Absolutely.
And thank you very much.
We've also got Jim, who's been inspired on his YouTube channel to do better thumbnails by yours truly.
Yeah, you ended up telling me to do better thumbnails. Thank you.
I see a lot more sexual innuendo.
That's what you told me to do. You said make it sexy. I did it. And also I'm doing a lot more of the things. I ended up getting some crap this week about, being negative on some books, but I've kind of saved the good ones that I'm going to recommend now to review over the weekend. But I try to review just about everything, good, bad, and different. Wes also tells me that that's a waste of time, but we'll see. We'll see. But I do, I have a bunch of recommendations. This is probably the most I've recommended ever on the show. And one will give a shout out to Wes, but I'll save that for the end. Ultimate Spider-Man, Action Comics 1061, Green Lantern number 7 is awesome. I'm going to recommend Titans Beast World number 4 as well. I'm enjoying the main series. Just avoid the tie-ins. They're bullshit. Transformers number 4. And then shout out to Wes, Dear Editor number 1, which he actually told me to check out. And I ended up reading it. And it's good and it's weird. But I think it's one of those things that it's an indie book. And it feels like that. And sometimes you don't get that feel on a lot of the indie stuff. Just feels like, okay, they're doing the same thing, just a little small. This actually is weird, but I liked it. I thought it was really cool. But
it's a normal dude with a deer head.
Yeah.
But nobody else has that.
Yep.
And they play like he's very normal.
I like the puns. It's
John Doe, yeah.
Yeah, John Doe. But it's really cool, and it looks different. It has a really cool, concept and weirdness to it.
Anything people should be looking out for? You got all your positive reviews coming out on your YouTube channel the next day or two?
Yeah, today I'll probably have my best of the week, and then have a bunch of things like Green Lantern review, and also Titans Beast World, and then our regular podcast stuff. So just the same old, same old.
Very nice. Finally, we do have Doc. Are you recommending any comic books?
I am. So let's see. Well, I read Ultimate Spider-Man, and then I told my girlfriend I wanted to go get Ultimate Spider-Man, and she told me we have Ultimate Spider-Man at home. So so this is the Ultimate Spider-Man I have at home. So I haven't bought the other Ultimate Spider-Man, so we're just going to go with this. So Ultimate Spider-Man 1/2. This is the old wizard edition that you had to send in for and shit. So It's actually kind of fun. Then we've got X-Men #1, the 20th anniversary. This is all recolored. It was done in 2012, I think, 2013, and released. It was very kind of flew under the radar for doing a 20th anniversary re-release of X-Men #1. You can see coloring's all different. It's very different. It was done by, I think, Thomas Mason. He recolored the original art. And then I can't tell which side's up and which side's down. I think this is up. I don't fucking know. Oh, this is up. This was actually something that they sent that back in the 90s that Marvel sent out to all the retailers for making X-Men #1 the biggest seller of all time. And it's got this cool hologram. You probably can't see it for shit on here, but it's a cool hologram. And if you can find one of these, they're very hard to find. Technically it's considered a variant of X-Men #1, even though it's just one page. Then we're going to go with Cable #75, just because it's got a dope Rob Liefeld cover. Back when Cable was a good comic and before it was a bad comic, and back whenever artists actually like to draw Cable and not whatever Phil Noto's baby-legged bullshit was. So
that's one of Rob's best poses, I would say.
I know, it really is. This is just a dope cover.
And he drew feet, so everybody who's like, Rob never draws feet.
Yeah,
Look, there's feet right on there. Shut up.
Look,
that's
you can
that's a dead meme.
And then we'll go with a little bit more of a classic. Wolverine #10. I think this is the first conflict between Wolverine and Sabretooth. Definitely their first cover together. And it's a Bill Sienkiewicz cover. So
That's a famous issue where Sabretooth says, "She said no."
Yeah, this is first appearance of Silver Fox. And I don't know whether or not Sabretooth kills her in this book. I can't remember. So
yeah, I believe he does.
Yeah,
I believe that's the conflict, is that he killed Silver Fox.
Yeah, it's her first appearance, and then he kills her too.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So that's it. That's what I got for this week.
Well, very nice. Are you rooting for the Chiefs, or are you just?
I'm waiting for the Steelers to lose.
That's it. Then you can give up on football for the year.
Yes, exactly.
I do ask you be rooting for the Chiefs this weekend. It's a huge game tonight. The fourth oldest game in the history of the NFL. Exciting things happening. Obviously, the playoffs are kicking off. Jim's not feeling good about his Eagles. Doc is not feeling good about his Steelers, but I'm feeling good about my Chiefs. So it should be fun. And we had a nice, fun comic book week, and we got lots of comic books to recommend with Drew later on tonight. And I do want to say thank you very much to everybody, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend. And 2024 is starting off not too bad now.